You've ever been really encouraged by the drone announcement that we got? Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Premarket Playbook. It is hump day. We've got a lot of stuff to go through. Still have a lot of earnings left this week. We had a lot this morning. Some of those are moving, and we had some yesterday that we're going to cover as well. It being Wednesday means we got Tim Melvin showing up here today. So y'all know we're going to have a whole bunch of fun. Benzinga's Premarket Playbook for Wednesday, August 6th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. Great to have a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Peter, I am here. Good morning, Peter. You are also first here today. So the guy in Colorado getting here first. Absolutely love it. Paul, good morning. Hopefully futures trading treated you well. Welcome back. Francis, good morning. Big Dave, good morning. Can you address Palantir and Shop? Yeah, we can absolutely take a look at those. Let me add those to the list. Shop trading higher here today and a pretty big breakout on Shop. We'll see how far that can go, but you got it, Big Dave. We will take a look at that here today. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Candace, good morning. Charles, good morning. I love the cash register rings, but I also have to share ass kickings too. Yesterday was one of those. I got on the wrong side of TQQQ, losing internet, bad earnings plays. Charles, the losing internet one, that's probably the most frustrating because it feels in the moment as if you have no control over it and it's not your fault. That's definitely annoying. I think that I speak for everyone here that we have all gone through that at some point. I actually went through that. I too was trapped in a trade. It was a VIX trade. And I was checking from my phone and I was like, oh my God, I'm down like $800 on this trade. And then by the time my internet came back up, I was like, oh my God, I'm positive like $100. I'm getting out of this thing. So I got really lucky in some cases, but that sucks to hear. As far as the rest of that, that's part of the game. I too got my ass kicked on earnings yesterday. Actually took the loss on Portillo's, which has been a investment that has really gone south yesterday. Thank God Andis had an amazing day because it really kind of offset that. But we've all been there. The most important thing that I can tell you, I can't tell you what to do, but the most important thing that I can tell you, we're going to be back at it again today. Just don't put yourself in a position where you can't take more shots. If you do that, you will always have a chance to get back. And that's what we do. Today is a new day, Charles. Good to have you back. Rooster, good morning. Good to see you. Vacationing in the North Carolina mountains. Well, I think you're winning the day here. I wish I was vacationing in the North Carolina mountains. Looking forward to, actually, I've got a couple of golf trips coming up. Looking forward to some time off. Quantum Vortex, good morning. It's great to see you. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning, Ryan. Riddle, 2 out of the 3 are in the room. Can you guess what they are? I can. What Zach is referring to here, I had kind of prepped you guys for that special announcement on drones as per Secretary Duffy yesterday. And in that presentation, might not have been readily obvious, but 2 of the 3 drones that they had on display were actually owned by Andis. You probably didn't recognize it because the sign that they had on the desk was American Robotics. But don't forget, American Robotics is a subsidiary of Andis, right? That is their drone division. They also have a rail communication division that they're currently earning money from. So really nice to see that. We'll see if that maybe gets picked up here a little bit. Andis has been on a huge run. As mentioned, we did sell some of that. So I actually spent a lot of time yesterday raising cash. And as a result, we're going to be looking to deploy that cash coming up here. But the key is that we're not going to rush it and we're not going to force it. We can talk more about that here today, Zach. Good morning and welcome back. C-Dub, good morning, welcome back. Hoot, good morning, welcome back. Day Trader, good morning, welcome back. Thinking about it, welcome back. Dermog, good morning. Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Bigabees, good morning. Cad Monkey, Empyrean, and Brandy, locked in and ready to go. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Jim, good morning. Sideshow, good morning. ATL Russ, AMD shouldn't be down like this. We'll take a look at the AMD earnings report. I've actually got a story on that. We'll look at the chart and the actual earnings report from there. ATL Russ, man, I got to be honest. I was really hoping your Braves would help us out yesterday and beat the Brewers, but alas, I'm kind of panicked about my Cubs team right now. Still going to win the bet with Tim Melvin, but panicked about the future of the team here for this year. Tyler, good morning. Kurt Ching, good morning. Richard Judge, it's good to see you again, my man. JJ, good morning. Cam, good morning. SMCI, we're going to look at that too. Harley, good morning. Lambo rolls. Which Lambo do you got and what color is it? Is it a yellow Aventador? That's just what my gut tells me. Welcome back, buddy. Jeremy, good morning. Durkis, good morning. Bobby, good morning. Azrar, good morning. Lindsay, good morning. We will probably take a look at Uber, I would imagine. Zoo, good morning. Welcome back. Buenos dias 3D. Welcome back. Rail, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Abby, good morning. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Guten Morgen. Okay, we're getting all kinds of different languages here. That is pretty awesome. Thinking about it, good morning. Day trader, I sold a few covered calls into the Ondas move for September, about 30% of my cost basis. So it's awesome. So you basically sold upside calls against your position. So that's covered. Means if that keeps going up, you're going to sell some of those shares at a gain, plus collect the premium there. Not a bad move. Day trader, really good stuff. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, I got to know what you have on deck for your next trades here. I did see A-Lab report yesterday, and it's trading higher here today. I'm sure we'll go over that. Congratulations on A-Lab. Tyler, can we check McDonald's? They had earnings. Yes, McDonald's reported earnings this morning. They are trading higher. We can absolutely take a look at that. Yassine, good morning. Lambo Roll says, I had a white and an orange one. I was wrong. I guessed yellow. I guess that's kind of in the middle between white and orange. I don't know. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Stelanios, good morning from Greece. Welcome. What part of Greece and how beautiful is it in your corner of the world right now? Thanks for joining us here. And as 3D is mentioning, thank you, 3D, for reminding me. I always forget to do this until 13 shows up. Please like and subscribe. The earlier you like and subscribe, the more we can exploit the algorithm and the more we can help the show for free at no cost. So thank you, 3D. Please hit that like button. Big B's 10K day on UNH yesterday. It was moving very nice. Well done. And UNH has pretty much been all that you've needed here today. Okay. And James, there we go. I'll say bonjour because I think Smoked Tuna is still on vacation. A much earned vacation, mind you. So no problem there. Good morning, James. It's good to see you. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the chart. We'll start with SPY, then we'll dive into the morning report as well as some of the news here today. Looking at the SPY, stop me if you've heard me say this before, but the big thing here is once again, the 20-day moving average. Currently sitting at 629. Your 20-day moving average is at 629.40. We've really kind of been dancing above this. Remember, we had the huge gap that took us below. We tried to trade back up to it, could not quite get there, and then traded above it on Monday. Nice little close above it. Yesterday, we kind of gave it up, although we're right there, and we're right back at this battle here today. So that 629.40 level on a closing basis is without a doubt going to be an important level here today. We still have the 50-day moving average pitching up, and it's done so now where it's moved above the 613.23 breakout level that we had been following for what felt like weeks before we ended up breaking out of that. So we'll see if any of those areas catch us if we continue to move down, but more immediately right now is what happens with respect to that 20-day moving average. So we'll see what we can do here today. Now, let's go take a look at the morning update, get an idea of what's going on here. So we have some green arrows across the board, although it's not a whole lot. So S&P futures here up by 0.15%. NASDAQ futures, although it says it's down here, it's actually up 0.11%. It actually just recently bounced. This hasn't updated yet. And the Dow holding higher here by 0.3, about 0.328. That's on the back of that McDonald's earnings. That was really good. IWM leading the way higher here. IWM up 0.3 here this morning. We'll see if that can continue with some of those small caps. We really are still kind of waiting for a rotation into small caps that would actually provide some pretty good trades. Bitcoin up here today. Let's see here. Yeah, Bitcoin up about 0.5% here on the futures, 114.7 on that futures ticker. Now, as far as the economic events, we don't really have a whole lot today. Crude and gasoline inventories at 10:30. We do have the 10-year note auction at 1. But really not a whole lot in terms of economic activities. Today is more going to be about the earnings, I believe. We do have one upcoming IPO here today. It's not one that I follow. I'm not necessarily interested in it, but you can take a look at that. CTW, which is CTW Cayman, priced between 5 and 6. That's going to IPO here today. As far as conferences, nothing here today, but we do have a couple coming up here. So if you have Pro, maybe note some of the tickers here that might be reporting at some of those conferences and get ready. We actually just saw what can happen when a stock or a basket of stocks that you're looking at have an event going on during the day. We saw that with some of the drones yesterday. Maybe we'll see that with some of the other stocks here. We did have some initiations here today. Front Door, Cryoport here, CYRX. We're going to talk about that. That's actually one of the movers there. That's pretty much it in terms of some of the big stocks. Did have a couple of downgrades here, not really any of the ones that we follow. And then, as mentioned, we do have a whole bunch of earnings here, which we're going to kind of talk about going forward. So that's it pretty much for the morning report. We'll see what kind of hump day we have here today prior to those earnings releases this evening. Now, let's go ahead. Let me get the chart queued up here because we're definitely going to take a look at the chart for some of these stocks that we're going to talk about here today. Let's start with the market update. U.S. stock futures rose on Wednesday after ending lower on Tuesday. Futures of major benchmark indices were up. Now, President Trump indicated the possibility of imposing tariffs on imported pharmaceuticals that could rise up to 250%, indicating the highest rate he has proposed so far. None of this was new. Basically, I actually went back and watched his interview on Squawk Box yesterday. I laughed quite a bit during it. It was actually kind of funny. But the pharmaceutical tariff stuff that he's kind of floated, we've heard about it. Looks like that's next on the agenda here. So we'll see what that means for some of these stocks and what kind of trades that sets up for us. He also indicated that levels on semiconductor imports levies on semiconductor imports would be announced later this week. The 10-year bond yielded 4.24%, and the 2-year was at 3.74. Those both ticked up slightly, but still under the levels that would really be concerning. In particular, that 10-year under 4.5. We still seem to be moving in the right direction. This just seems like kind of a little bit of a tick up. Now, as far as some insights go here, senior economist at Wisdom Tree, Jeremy Siegel, explained that the earnings momentum in the AI bellwethers has largely compensated for near-term macro jitters. Louis Navalier was basically telling us something similar when he was talking about the Mag 7 stocks. Meta beat revenue estimates handily, and Microsoft delivered earnings 8% above consensus, pushing both stocks higher. These results show AI productivity dividend arriving, a more powerful counterforce to the tariff-induced price pressure. Siegel also highlighted that stocks were hardly in the bubble territory as the Mag 7, excluding Tesla, traded at a forward price to earnings in the low 30s, while the median S&P 500 consultant changes hands at 16 to 17 times next year's earnings. Quote, rotation remains the missing piece. Small cap and deep value baskets are priced at historic discounts, yet institutional flows are pinned to mega cap growth. This is something that we've seen for a while. We continue to see more of that. When the Fed finally validates an easing path, the curve will steepen and financing costs for Main Street firms will fall. That may be the catalyst for the long-awaited handoff from the Mag 7 to the Russell 2000. This is something we've talked about before when it actually looked like IWM was breaking out. We talked about how great this would be for a number of different stocks that we look at here and for possible wealth moves going forward. He highlighted that the bottom line was that policy is too tight for the real data. Hopefully, a Jackson Hole pivot is on the horizon. Now, all eyes turn to Jackson Hole, which happens later this month. See if we get any news out of there that is, in fact, market moving. Meanwhile, Ryan Dietrich reiterated his old point about bull markets, which stated that such bull runs become volatile in their third year, but once such markets make it to their second birthday, they keep rising for at least 5 years. Quote, unfortunately, strategists cut their targets on normal third-year volatility and are now just upping their targets back to where they started the year. Here's this story. If you want to go through that thread and some of the tweets on your own, you can go ahead and take care of that yourself. All right. Now, the other big story here, let's actually go back to the chart, try and break up some of the news flow here as best we can. Let's start with the Disney chart. They reported earnings here this morning. They're down 2.6%, but they're also making some news here today. So let's take a look inside here. Here's what we're looking at. Looks like Disney popped a little bit here in the pre-market, reported earnings, and sank lower. Shout out to 13 because I believe he said this looked bearish to him yesterday. Did not take an earnings play, but we're kind of looking for this to move down, and it looks like that's what we're getting here. We'll see if we retest this 114 low that we put in here early. Now, as far as Disney goes, let's go back to the daily chart here. You can see that we were kind of straddling this 50-day moving average. Now we've kind of given that up. So where do we go to next? Going back to February of this year, or really more of January, have the volume point of control in here at 112.5. This volume point of control pretty much marks the top end of this consolidation area. It looks like we've got that from May 13th before we finally started to break away at June 6th. So the second half of May. I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of where we move back down to here. We're currently sitting at 115.79, so another 3 points lower. And then 4 points lower than that, we actually have the 200-day, and we have the 200-day about riding with the 100-day, so very much at a similar spot there. I would imagine that these two downside levels would act as ample support for Disney if you're looking to take a trade on that. Now, why would you be looking to take a trade on that with the earnings out of the way? Disney takes control of NFL Network as the league gains 10% ESPN ownership. The National Football League has agreed to sell most of its media business to Walt Disney in exchange for a 10% stake in Disney's ESPN network. According to the Wall Street Journal report, as part of the deal, ESPN will gain control of key media assets, including the NFL Network. Including the NFL Network. Analysts have estimated the value of ESPN to be between 25 and 30 billion, placing the NFL's share in the range of 2.5 to 3 billion. The deal is subject to regulatory approval and is expected to face scrutiny from lawmakers due to the influence of both the NFL and ESPN. On this scrutiny here, I don't know that I lean one way or the other here. I would imagine that this is okay, but I really haven't kind of dove into that. So I'll let you know if I come up with anything for that. Disney's ESPN is a major player in the sports media industry, and this deal is expected to further solidify its position. The NFL, on the other hand, is the most popular sports league in the United States, and its partnership with ESPN is likely to have a significant impact on the media landscape. CNBC sports business reporter Alex Sherman also commented on the deal via X, highlighting its potential to reshape the sports media landscape. He says here, the NFL and ESPN make it official, more commentary to come when Disney announces earnings tomorrow morning. This deal comes at a crucial time for Disney. The company has been working on a turnaround with a focus on its streaming services and sports content. The acquisition of a stake in ESPN by the NFL could potentially strengthen Disney's position in the sports media market, which is a key part of its overall strategy. This development will be of particular interest to investors as they await Disney's third quarter financial results, which of course we've got here this morning, which are expected to shed light on the impact of consumer spending and the company's various offerings, including streaming and sports content. So I'm going to stop here and say, does this make, just simply put, does this make Disney more or less attractive to you? The fact that the NFL and ESPN are doing this deal. Let me know if you think that this actually makes the stock more attractive. I'm not sure where I land on this one, to be quite honest with you, at least not yet. Okay, now the one thing here is that the other thing to note here is that now you can get ESPN, all the ESPN suite, all of the channels, all of the content, all of the extra stuff for like $29.99 a month. It's still included in the cable packages. So if you have cable, you don't necessarily have to buy this, but this just gives one more thing where you don't necessarily need cable. You could pretty much pair ESPN with maybe Netflix or maybe YouTube, get a lot of the channels that you're looking for, not pay for the stuff that you don't want, and still have access to the huge sports portfolio. So it will be very interesting to me to see if this leads to more cord cutting. I don't know if that's the case. My gut would tell me that yes, it does. All right. My gut would tell me that yes, it does, but we'll see. We'll have to wait for some of the numbers on that. Interesting story here. That's probably the top story this morning, I would say. All right, next, let's take a look at AMD real quick. Let me go back to the chart. We'll do as best we can to try and break some of that stuff up and bounce between it. Here's AMD. What a run this has been on recently. Now, we reported earnings here. AMD shares are trading lower following the financial results. We'll dive into those here in a sec. But if you notice where we are in the daily chart, check this out. We basically pulled back, and so far, at least so far here this morning, we are actually holding the 20-day. In fact, we're more than $1.50 above the 20-day. So you have a little bit of buffer there, too. It'll be interesting to see if we can hold above that. If we look inside, this is what it looks like, right? So we did kind of drift a little bit lower here in the pre-market after the earnings report yesterday, but it does look like the lowdown here was 161.80-ish around there. So again, that would have dipped beneath the 20-day, and the current price action here has us recapturing it. So very much like the SPY here today, should probably pay attention to what AMD does with this 20-day. If it does look like it finds some support here, I think you could probably make the case for a potential gap fill trade to the upside, as long as nothing else falls apart here. But we'll see. Let's take a look here at the report real quick before we get to Tim Melvin. Advanced Micro Devices reported financial results for the second quarter after the market closed yesterday. AMD reported second quarter revenue of $7.69 billion, which beat the analyst estimate of $7.41 billion. The company reported second quarter adjusted earnings of 48 cents per share, missing the estimates of 49 cents per share. Barely missed that. Now, total revenue was up 32% year over year, and the breakdown by segment is as follows. Data center was up 14% year over year. Client and gaming up 69% year over year, and embedded down 4% year over year. Now, the client and gaming one is interesting to me. AMD sells more processors, or I guess the component that gamers would want is more processors. But 13 and I talked about a potential catch-up trade in the GPU business here for AMD. And it looks like maybe they are starting to catch up on that. Now, I don't think that that's adversely going to affect NVIDIA because they're just rocking it in terms of AI, which is the big portion of what's driving it higher. But nonetheless, actually looks like AMD might be doing some good stuff over there. Might take a little bit. That runway might be a little bit longer than they hope, but it does look like this is pretty good, at least from this report. Non-GAAP gross margin came in at 43% in the quarter. AMD said the U.S. government export controls and AMD Instinct MI308 GPUs led to approximately $800 million in inventory and related charges. Excluding these charges, gross margin would have been 54%. The company reported operating income of $897 million and ended the period with approximately $4.4 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Quote, we delivered strong revenue growth in the second quarter led by record server and PC processor sales. And that came from Lisa Su. We are seeing robust demand across our computing and AI product portfolio as we are well positioned to deliver significant growth in the second half of the year, driven by the ramp of our AMD Instinct MI350 series accelerator and ongoing EPYC and Ryzen processor share gains. I currently use a Ryzen 9 chip, and I love it. It has been stable. It does not have heat issues. Just been an amazing chip. No need to upgrade, and that was years ago. AMD sees third quarter revenue of approximately $8.7 billion, plus or minus $300 million. Analysts are currently forecasting revenue of $8.15 billion for the third quarter. So one more piece of news here regarding some of these chips here. On Tuesday, Lisa Su said that the company's latest chip, the MI355, is ramping up production and gaining traction among customers seeking powerful and scalable alternatives to NVIDIA's high-end GPUs. During AMD's second quarter earnings call, Su said that the company began producing the MI355 chips in June and has seen, quote, strong ramp, end quote, heading into the third quarter. She said customers are showing growing interest in AMD's data center GPUs, positioning the MI355 as a direct competitor to NVIDIA's B200 and GB200 chips. What we're seeing with MI355 is very competitive versus the B200 and the GB200 family of products. There's a strong desire to really use us at scale. Su noted AMD's previous AI chip, the MI300, had smaller developments initially. However, with the MI355, she said demand is broader, driven by the chip's performance in inferencing and training workloads, two key pillars of AI development. Sue added that the company expects continued revenue growth from its data center GPU business throughout the second half of the year. Quote, we're bullish on MI355 and where the AI opportunity is for us, end quote. And I think we're on the right track to what we expected. AMD sees the MI355 as a stepping stone towards the next generation MI400 series set to launch in 2026. As NVIDIA struggles with the AI chip market due to the U.S. export bans and supply shortages, AMD has emerged as a viable challenger, especially in India and the United Arab Emirates. NVIDIA's H100 chips priced up to $40,000 remain the go-to for tech giants like Microsoft and Meta. However, the AMD's MI300 series offers a more affordable and power-efficient alternative. The MI300X features 192 gigs of memory, double that of NVIDIA's H100 chip, and the MI350X, is expected to cost around $25,000. In June, AMD unveiled its Instinct MI355X and MI350X GPUs at the ISC 2025, and a lot of acronyms in there, showcasing significant performance gains for AI inference, particularly with support of low-precision formats such as the FP4 and FP6. Based on the CDNA4 architecture, the chip's 288 gigs of HBM3E memory with up to 8 terabytes of bandwidth. The MI355X, designed for liquid cooling, consumes up to 1,400 watts and delivers 20.1 pflops in FP4 and FP6 tasks, while air-cooled MI350X consumes 1,000 watts and hits only 18.45 pflops. Both surpass NVIDIA's Blackwell B300 on paper, but are limited to 8 GPU scaling, which may affect competitiveness. Real-world performance remains to be seen. And then here really quickly for the second quarter, AMD reported revenue of $7.69 billion. That beat the analyst estimates of $7.41 billion. And we already talked about the EPS there. And we also talked about the segments there as well. So let me know, are you guys more bullish on AMD? Do you think AMD can take more market share from NVIDIA? Does this represent a catch-up trade? You guys will have to let me know what you feel on that. Also, blast from the past here. Good morning, Sydney. Good morning, everyone. I know Sydney has money bags here today because Tidewater also reported earnings and had a huge power candle away from the 200. It's good to see you. I hope you're still rocking with Tidewater. Really good earnings report yesterday. Okay, let me go back to Benzinga Pro here. And as mentioned, it is Wednesday. It's one of our favorite days of the week. And you know what that means. It's time to get Tim Melvin in here and see what he is thinking for the market. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Tim, happy Wednesday. How are you doing?
Happy Wednesday. I'm doing great because, I was looking at the earnings reports this morning and I noticed that America has come back again. And once again, we're proving we're exceptional at that which we do best. Because if you look at the Disney and McDonald's reports, we're back to sitting on our butts, watching TV and eating bad food in size. Both the Disney streaming and McDonald's reversed downtrends in their quarters and actually had solid reports. So we got to be number one. That's it. And we are comfortably in the lead, apparently.
Really quick, Tim, you'll be happy to know two things. Number one, you'll be happy to know that I did not support McDonald's at all during the last several quarters, so I am not part of that. And the other thing that you'll be happy to know, unrelated to this, is that bum pitcher that your team just gave us got absolutely rocked yesterday. So there you go. You shed some dead weight, it looks like.
Well, I mean, did he miss first base running for the winning run and late in the game?
That was the day before, but no, he gave up. It's your Kittredge guy that hides the ball. He gave up 4 runs yesterday in a relief appearance. He just couldn't get anything over the plate. So
yeah. So it
is what it is.
Anyway, starting out, I want to look at a couple of pieces of academic work. It's no secret. All right. The upside momentum to this market is still really strong. Okay. However, you could just, there's no green long-term signals, right? If you look at anything, in terms of valuation, in terms of aggregate allocation to equities, in terms of sentiment, they're all suggesting we could be in trouble ahead. So I went and I looked. There's a new paper out by a fellow named Tom Carlson. He's written some books and some other things. And he wrote Defense First, The Secret to Winning with Tactical Asset Allocation. This is a very cool strategy because it's one of the better risk on, risk off systems that you'll see. This simple system, Ryan, is really, really simple. We're going to take 4 widely traded ETFs. We're going to take TLT. We're going to take GLD. We're going to take DBC, which is commodities, and then UUP, which is the dollar, obviously. So we're going to take these 4. We're going to use a 3, 6, 9, 12, 1, 3, 6, 12 momentum at, for each of them. If they're outperforming T-bills, they go into the strategy. If they're not, you replace that allocation with the S&P 500. So it's 40% in the strongest, 30 in the second strongest, and 20, and then 10. That would fill you up in a fully defensive portfolio, right? When you do that particular fund series of calculations today, the only thing outperforming on the 1, 3, 6, 12 momentum is gold. So you would have 40% of your portfolio in gold. Risk is on, right? Because the other 3 don't qualify. They're now outperforming T-bills. So what happens there? It goes into the S&P 500. So right now, your defensive position is 60% long stocks and 40% long gold. So none of the defensive elements are in play here at all. Now, it's actually a pretty cool system. If I was designing it, I'd probably replace the dollar with something that produced income, but that would take like days of work, and I didn't have that to put in this morning. But it serves its purpose for now. So this is telling you the market's very much in a risk-on environment. Real money, momentum measurements are not saying it's time to jump aside. They're going to say it someday, and it will, in fact, be time to jump aside. But this does incredibly well. From 1986 to 2025, this has matched the market within like really tiny number of basis points. 10.87 for the system, 11.17 for the S&P 500. However, worst year for the S&P 500 in there was a down 37%. Worst year for the defensive first system was a little bit less than 7%. The worst drawdown you would have experienced was 50.97% for the S&P 500, 14.81 for the defense first. When you go back, Randy, and I looked at this through. Now, this is a very cool system, and I'll get to why I really like it here in a second. But when you look at some of the really bad things that have happened, right? The crash of 1987. I might be the only one old enough here on the list to have been active in the market.
I was alive, but I got to admit I was playing with a Tonka truck, not the market. So
Yeah.
I can't really relate.
Yeah, you may have crapped your pants that day, but it had nothing to do with the market.
That's right. Did not have that on my bingo card today, Tim.
Okay, so market was down, of course, 29.78% during that whole little wing-ding period there. The system was down 6.43. The dot-com bust from 2000 to 2002, very painful period of the markets, just grinding lower constantly. The biggest drawdown in the S&P 500 was about 45%, little less than 10% for this defensive first. The GFC down 50. This was down 14. COVID crash didn't go down at all. It was up. Inflation shock of 2022 was down 7 compared to the max drawdown of 23%. So you don't have any big drawdowns in this, which means we can lever the you-know-what out of it. So if we take this and rather than lever the commodities in the gold and the dollar, one of the reviews of this paper said, why don't we just take the 3X ETF and just lever stocks? So what happens now, our max drawdown goes to 33%, right? It goes up quite a bit because we've increased leverage by 3. But we get to about a 16% compounded return, and we never have a margin call. That's not bad, guys. when you look at this as something that's far less volatile to the markets than the markets, but outperforming the markets, or you could use this in a 401k to match the index without suffering through massive drawdowns. If I could shave some years off and go back to be 50 again, and I was using this to manage a 401k, this would be smart, right? Because if I turned 50 years old in 2000, I would have missed the worst of the great financial crisis, of COVID, of the inflation shock. I would not have been subject to all of that just kind of massive drawdown activity, getting my butt kicked with all of that. So I thought that was just a very, very cool system. Which made me start thinking about some other risk on, risk off that have worked very well over the years. And one of the best is Gary Antonacci's dual momentum system, which is just real simple. Every month at the end of the month, you compare, he uses US stocks, international stocks. You can use any ETF you want for this. Whichever one is outperforming, that's where all the money goes. Right. If none of them have a positive return, that's the jewel. It's got to have relative and positive dual momentum. If both of them are at zero, then the money goes into, of course, T-bills or bonds or whatever your allocation is going to be. This has done extremely well over the years, right? It's actually beat the market by about 15% to about 10% since 1974. That's in Dan Antonacci's studies that he did for the book Dual Momentum. And the drawdown was dramatically lower than the broader market. And he keeps a running total of this on his website. And you sidestep a lot of the really bad stuff. I mean, it's not to say you're never going to have a down year, because you will occasionally. But you miss the really nasty drawdowns, because when things go to zero, you're out, right? You're on the sidelines in T-bill waiting for one of those two to start performing above the zero line again and be the leader. Now, what's interesting about this to me is that the system back in March switched to 100% international stocks. So, and which I actually 1000% agree with. The valuations are better, in Europe, and there's actually more momentum broadly in European stocks right now. So that's just one of the ways that you can also sidestep the massive volatility in the market. So that's my broader market commentary on the day. I see this morning we're kind of mixed with earnings coming in, and we haven't had our usual blast of news yet to decide what direction we're going to go in. But Ryan, a couple of weeks ago, you asked me about my opinion on private equity in 401ks and retirement plans, and I told you that I thought it was a horrible idea. And I've done a whole bunch more research, and I've decided that I hate it even more now than I did then.
We were not surprised to hear that.
It's nobody's going to put a good deal into one of these publicly traded vehicles, because in the publicly traded vehicle, your fees are going to be capped. As a private equity firm, your incentive fees. So there's not going to be as much of an incentive fee. The fees will be much higher than ETFs or mutual funds or anything else. Performance here is going to be very mediocre. You're not going to be investing in the very best Apollo or the very best Blackstone or the very best KKR deals. And we've already seen that in real estate, right? KKRs and Blackstone both, their internal funds way outperform those public closed-end quarterly redemption funds. You also have the quarterly redemption problem because they cap redemptions, right? We saw this with Blackstone, and we saw it with Starwood a couple of years ago when commercial real estate was really starting to come unglued in late 2021 and 2022. You couldn't get your money out, right? Because they had a 2.5% cap on redemptions. No more than 2.5% of the assets in the fund could be withdrawn. That was to keep the funds from having to liquidate assets in order to make redemptions. You couldn't just simply go to the stock exchange floor and sell your shares. So that's exactly what's going to happen with the private equity and venture capital publicly available funds for retirement plans. It's going to be incredibly mediocre. Now, I've talked about this continuously, that you can replicate relatively easily what private equity firms are doing. And there's been two studies done, one by Dan Rasmussen at Verdad and one by Eric Stratford. That's Eric with a K. They were both published when they were in school, I believe at Harvard. Both Stratford did his in school, Rasmussen was out of school. And the cool story here is Daniel Rasmussen actually went to work for Bain Capital out of school, out of Harvard, and he's an exceptionally bright individual. Um, and they said, look, here's your first job. You're the new analyst. You get the monkey job. The monkey job this week is you're going to go back through all of our deals and you're going to put together a deck showing how our operational excellence just made everything better. And that's how we made people all this money. And after the whatever period of time it was, Rasmussen came back and said to his bosses, and what I have to imagine was his last speech there, your operational excellence had nothing to do with this. You've had really good returns because you've levered up companies. You've paid very low multiples for them. You've incentivized the executives at the company. You've incentivized your team to get the maximum returns. And over time, you've paid back debt, and that's where all the money came from. So then I was reading an interview with Henry Kravis of Kohlberg, Kravis and Roberts. So this was a while ago. And he said, look, one of the things that we've done really well, better than anybody, is we've incentivized executives. Right? You go back and you look at the Safeway deal, which should have failed, right? If you look at the Safeway LBO, I mean, I think they had a leverage factor of like 18 in that deal. It was sick on a grocery store. They had just levered that thing to the moon and back. But they gave the executives a lot of stock and stock grants. And they said, here's the deal. I mean, if you blow it, you don't make any money. If you get this right, you're going to make millions and millions of dollars.
Fortune, yeah.
It was one of the most successful LBO in histories. So there's a guy named Pete Stavros at KKR who looked at this. He said, you know what? Generally speaking, our deals where we have skin in the game with the executives do a lot better than the deals where we don't have skin in the game with the executives. So I took that and started running with it. I'm doing a side first. Stavros has taken that further. KKR has now begun to push equity down to employees. And the deals where they've made multi-gazillionaires in a couple of deals. The Gardner Denver deal, CHI overhead doors, they sold for like a 10x return. So they pushed all this money down into the workforce and created, if not millionaires, lots of 100,000aires by doing that. But giving it to executives almost always ends up with a higher return on their leverage deal. We can work with that, Ryan. We can do something with that without paying incentive fees, without having illiquidity. We can go right to the stock market, and we can design a simple screen that, with my usual brilliance, I just called the KKR replication screen, because we're going to replicate exactly what KKR does. We're going to go out. We're going to look for smaller companies, 2 billion market cap or less. We're going to make sure that they have lots of debt. We want a debt to equity ratio over 3. Right? That's really high by today's standards.
Yeah.
We want a solid F score, right? We want to see fundamentals that are getting better, debt that is not going down. They're not issuing stock to run the business. They have plenty of liquidity to pay the bills. And we want to see a portion of the cash flow of this business being used to pay down debt. So we're exactly replicating what private equity firms do. And we're going to insist that insiders, officers, and directors of these companies own at least 1% of the company. That, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're talking about a $5 billion company, then you're talking about millions of dollars in stock that these executives have to own. Now, there's not a lot of stocks at any given time that will qualify, but this concentrated portfolio, and I'm just going to go here and just run the quick back test. Got data on this going all the way back to 2004, where we had all of the data points, and just using this strategy, rebalancing it monthly. So if the fundamentals slip, debt goes up, insiders dump stock, whatever happens that gets the stock out of round with the requirements, it's gone and replaced. So on average, you're going to have, since 2004, so that's about 21 years. Any given month, you Come back here. What are you doing, machine? My machine's going crazy on me here this morning, Ryan. Sorry about that.
All good. So really quickly, it seems like you're thinking that the private equity is going to end up giving you a bunch of grenades, and instead you'd rather just find this yourself. You'd rather use the same type of criteria and uncover the gems as opposed to being handed something that's junk.
Yeah, because it's going to be forced mediocrity, right? There's going to be massive regulations on this stuff. There's going to be limits on the fees, so there's going to be an incentive for private equity to get involved because we're talking trillions of dollars, right? However, there's not going to be incentive to put pieces of their very best deals in these things.
Right.
And I guarantee you some clown, some boy genius, girl genius out there is going to come up with the idea. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a fund to invest in all of these other funds. Right. When I've seen it happen with real estate, I saw it happen with commodity trading advisors back in the 1980s and 1990s, where you took a bunch of the best CTAs in the world, and I'm talking the big guys, Paul Tudor Jones, John Henry. I mean, just all of Richard Dennis's turtles. These were guys that were shooting the lights out. When we put them all into a more regulatory framework, and the brokerage firm got paid, and all the CTAs got paid, and the people that put this new fund together got paid, they didn't make any money. It was mediocre at best. So you took all these top performers who continued to do well, but you had such a fee rake for at so many different levels. So that's the same thing that unfortunately is going to happen in private equity, and venture capital is just going to be an absolute stone cold disaster. Right. The very best venture capital firms, the Sequoia, the ones that funded everybody, they get one or two winners per fund. Right. Those one or two winners of 100 or more investments, they're all the return, all of it. All right. So if you take one or two of those really good deals out, what you have is a pile of absolute stone cold garbage. So yes, they're going to do it. It's coming. Private equity firms have a tremendous lobby. It's going to get passed. It sounds good because private equity has been the top performing asset class. It's going to be a disaster. Everybody's going to make money, but the poor schmuck who puts his 401k into it. That's my guess.
Real quick, big bear hug. This is actually a really good question here. Why not just buy KKR and BlackRock stocks and benefit from the profits that way?
Oh, I've been a big advocate of that. I mean, we put a buy on those years ago, and we've continued to rate them a buy forever. Now they're a little extended in here, but in a bear market, right, when things go boom, when the defense fund is fully defensive, that's top of your list. You want to buy Blackstone, you want to buy KKR, you want to buy Apollo, because at their core, right, if you go back and you read the writings of Henry Kravis, you read Stephen Schwarzman of Blackstone's book, you go back, Apollo has the best history of all of them here because they came out of the wreckage of Drexel Burnham, all of the co-founders, right? These guys are value investors through the heart of their soul. Right there, and all of them are really good at distressed. When you look at the vintage of private equity funds, and I'm enough of a geek, I've done a ton of that. You go back and you look, the funds that were put together in years when there was a big crash, massive returns, and then they come back towards mediocrity as the market goes higher. Because remember, market valuations also impact private market valuations. When you're in a hot market, the local gas station down the street sells for more. Right. That applies all the way across through industries, public, private, whatever. So you're paying a higher multiple. The trick to private equity is paying low multiples and paying down the business, paying down the debt on the business. So that's really the whole story. And as I said, you can use this KKR replicate. I like it. We've put together, Dan Rasmussen at Verdad has another version that we used and we've talked about. This KKR model, I like it a lot because it actually puts a little bit of real estate in the mix. And I'm huge on real estate and real estate finance investing. I think it's something that most people don't do anywhere near enough of. But anyway, as I looked at that, 12 stocks since 2004, it's been a great time to be a stock market investor. 10% compounded returns in the S&P 500. This strategy, just making the swap outs every month, keeping equal dollar amounts. So rebalancing once a month, giving all you trading junkies something to do. You average 26% a year. Now, so every dollar in the S&P 500, very respectable every $100, I'm sorry, very respectable $843. $16,936 in this strategy. So, and the returns are pretty consistent, by the way, because I broke them out by years, and in 16 of the last 21 years, you've outperformed the S&P 500. Coming out of bad periods in the market, 2021, you would have returned 73%. 2020 itself, you were actually up 33 because of the huge bounce you had off of the April bottom. Coming off of 2022, again, up 78%. So, and go ahead. 2008, this thing got cracked, right? 2007, you lost 13, 55 in 2008.
Yep.
The next year, you made it all back because you were up 152%.
Okay, not bad.
No, it's
not bad at all.
No, not bad at all. Now, add some defensive and smart market intelligence in there, because in 2007, if you go back and you look, there just weren't a lot of stocks that made the filter. I think you would have had 6 or 7 positions. When there's not a lot of positions around, and this works exactly the same, by the way, for small cap, deep value, and small banks. When there isn't a below average number of positions to put in the portfolio, you should be a little bit scared, because historically, not too long after that begins to happen, bad things begin to happen to the market. So, and remember, this is, things look pretty good right now when you look at the market and even the economy, for all the noise in the news and the hoopla and the who struck John.
Yeah.
Look, it's not that bad. Okay. There's some cracks. There's some things going on with jobs. Consumer spending staying out a little bit. And we're going to have a little bump up in inflation, but it's nothing that the economy can't handle. And the other side of this, with the productivity increases from artificial intelligence, the benefits of cheap energy, right? And then, we're going to see some reshoring of industries. That's going to happen. So that also said, so on the other side of this period of dislocation, the economy still looks pretty good. So why would the market go down? I don't know, but I could have told you the same thing in late 1986 as well. Okay. Definitely in 2019, I would tell people, look, this is getting rich. It's expensive. They tell me I was a moron. I had no idea what was going to happen. I just knew we were tempting fate by trading at the levels that we are. And Beth, I see you saying there's nowhere near 2008. You're right. There's not enough leverage in the system for 2008. I'm not predicting or suggesting that would be the case. There's not enough risk in the financial system, but the valuations are above 2008 levels.
And real quick, Tim, you were just talking about some of that reshoring. We actually are onshoring here. We actually got some commentary on that from the SMCI report. Quote, with support from our expanding global operations to help mitigate tariffs and regional costs, combined with growing enterprise customer base, AI product innovations, and robust DC BBS powered total solutions, we're on track to grow more large-scale data center customers from 4 in fiscal year 25 to 6 to 8 in fiscal year 26. So it looks like some of that onshoring that you were talking about has actually already started to happen, and we would expect that to continue.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to continue, and it's something I didn't even touch on. Just data centers alone by domestic companies is going to be a massive build out. They all require new employees, which creates housing demand, which creates retail demand. So yeah, there's a lot of good things still in the economy, but this was true in 1999. It was true in 2006. It was true in 2019. Right? Markets don't rise the way this one has gone up if there's not good stuff going on. But trees don't grow to the sky, and you do eventually reach a point where it's just too high. When that happens, the universe steps in and gives us something bad so it can go down for a little while. And that's just, 35, 40 years of watching this. It always seems to play out that way.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. Do you have anything else for us this morning?
I really think that's all I've got. Does anybody want a couple tickers of what qualifies for the system right now? Because if you do, I'll throw them out. Okay.
Yeah,
ready?
Let's do it. Let's roll through them.
All right. RPD. It's a cybersecurity company, Rapid7.
Now, Tim, let me ask you really quick. Do you think this makes a potential takeover target?
I think everything in this portfolio has a potential takeover target.
Okay. Glad I asked.
And by the way, my research shows the takeover levels are high. As the debt gets paid down, eventually somebody gets a good business under there. AIV, Aimco, I absolutely love this. They're in apartments. They're in no better positioned segment of the real estate market than apartments right now. Great business, $8 stock. Big fan. Camping World Holdings, CWH. Look, you've seen the dealerships, you've seen the commercials, and if you've driven anywhere in the southern part of the United States, you've seen the flags they like to put up in their dealerships. EW Scripps, the TV broadcast company.
That's EW. What's the EW?
SSP. I'm sorry, Ryan. I should have.
SSP. Okay.
Yep. Regis Corporation, that's the hair salons, RGS. That's a smaller one, by the way, guys. Be careful with your orders there. Next Point Real Estate Finance, which does exactly what it says, commercial real estate financing. I absolutely love that business right now. You can argue.
What's the ticker? Sorry, man.
No, that's okay. My fault. NREF. Fat dividend on this. Okay. Fat dividend is covered by distributable cash. And here's the thing. Whether you buy commercial real estate or not, or you think it's just going to go sideways or it's going to be ugly, we're closer to a bottom than a top. And if you're making loans on high quality commercial real estate with a low loan to value, you're going to do really well in here. I just described the core business of Next Point Real Estate Finance. So, good insider ownership, paying down leverage, a 14% dividend yield.
Yeah.
Price. So yeah.
That is a pretty good dividend.
Right. And I think the media is good. Then there's Media Alpha, and this, Ryan, this company should just warm your heart. It's your favorite business.
Insurance.
They do insurance customer acquisition. This is Max, and they're a media company. They do insurance customer acquisitions. Okay. They basically generate leads that are then sold to insurance companies, and then they get a percentage of all the good stuff that happens. They connect leading carriers with high intent shoppers, people who need insurance or who, like my good friend Ryan, are just really angry at their insurance company because they're paying so damn much money for the premiums. So that's kind of just really cool business. It's great business. It's trading extremely cheap in here. Then we have Bloomin' Brands. And I don't care who you are. I like Outback Steakhouse. And my wife's favorite comfort food is Carrabba's, and Fleming's speaks for itself. So I'm doing my part to keep this company growing and keeping the debt going down. Okay. So I want you, let's get out there and get some Outback for dinner tonight, guys. And then American Axle and Manufacturing, AXL, they provide axles and other door parts to just about every auto manufacturer in the country. Obviously been getting hit with everything going on. They do have tariff issues to a degree, but this is just a cheap stock. It's a pretty good company, ladies and gentlemen. It's been around for a long time. Like I said, they have relationships with, they've been around since 1994. They have relationships with pretty much all of the manufacturers doing OEM parts, looking for a steep earnings rebound next year. And I have no idea why somebody has not taken this over yet.
So speaking of earnings rebound, this thing actually reports in 2 days. It's on Friday before the market opens. Is this something that maybe we should wait for that print to get out of the way?
You know what? I think I'd wait for that one. I think that's that one could be ugly. They had a So I would wait. But the other thing I'll add on this is they have been a player in developing axles and systems for electric vehicles. So they're not going to be shut out. As that 3% market share of electric vehicles goes to 3.2 and totally destroys the ordinary auto business. Yeah. So, yeah, private equity replication, way smarter than private equity vehicles in your 401k. The cool thing about private equity replication, we take trading now because we're going to rebalance once a month. We're using highly leveraged vehicles. Okay. We're going to take it and we're going to extend out the x-axis because there's no expiration date. So we put probability on our side and we put time on our side, and we still get our little action fix once a month with a proven record of very high returns. So that is officially all I have for you guys this morning. Any
Good.
questions? Any questions before I go?
Good stuff as always. I don't have any questions here. I think I think you answered the one that we had here real quick. I don't think we. Here, James saying, what do you think about a levered housing ETF like Nail at the moment?
A levered housing ETF? I don't.
This is Home Builders and Supplies, and it's levered 3x.
No thanks. You could trade that, right, with a 20-day or a 5-day moving average, depending on your time frame. I don't want to be long it here. I'm really super bullish on home builders long term. A little cautious near term because they're all real heavy with land inventory. I own a few. I don't want to lever them here. Generally speaking, I like to put leverage on way down. And 13, damn it, I know I get a more realistic experience of Australia watching Crocodile Dundee than I do going to Outback. But for $20, I can get a decent steak at an Outback Steakhouse. Now, I don't mind spending $80 on a steak when I'm going out for something fancy. But if it's Tuesday night and I just feel like a steak and my wife told me to leave her alone, she doesn't feel like cooking, Outback's a go-to. It's not a bad alternative.
See, that's where you need to have the Costco steaks in the freezer so that you can just do it yourself. But I digress. Okay, Tim, really good stuff here today.
Thanks, guys.
One more question, and you can make this really short. Chopped Coop asking thoughts on NLY. It's got a nice dividend.
Love it. Love it.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure this is in one of your portfolios too, right? This is a big one that you love.
It is, and I talked about it this week. We are massively bullish on the residential mortgage market. Spreads remain very wide. I think these things are money good. The more the street hates them, the more I love them.
Got it. Okay, Tim, awesome. As always, again, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your hump day and do whatever it is that you do to take the curse off of the players you sent the Cubs, okay? Thanks a lot.
I can't do that for you, Ryan, but I am pulling for you guys to make the World Series because the heartbreak of watching an entire city implode when you blow the series, it's good theater.
Thankfully, the last time that we were there, we actually won it, but we'll see how this one shakes out here today.
Real quick, I thought of you yesterday because I do have a Cubs T-shirt in my dresser that is a sweatshirt, and I bought it because when we went to the 2015 playoff series against the New York Mets, the game where they finally lost the series the year before they won the World Series, it was cold, so I bought myself a sweatshirt.
Okay. I can't get out of my head that you just said you went to the 1915 World Series. So we're going to end it right there. Tim, thanks very much.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
That is Tim Melvin. Word is that the weather was actually pretty good for that 1915 World Series, but Tim needed to get a sweater. Okay. Y'all can calm down. 13 is here. Let's bring him on and let's talk to him and see how he's doing. 13, good morning. It appears that the group was here just for you today. So any opening words for your fans?
Well, hello, everybody.
13.
I hope you would be here for more than just me. There's a lot of great content that we get on here. And
I'm just barbing some of these people back. Fine. That's all. Well, everything's good here. Happy to see all y'all. I love it. All right, where do you want to start here? You want to hit these movers?
Yeah, let's get these movers out of the way. And there's not a great list of movers this morning.
But there is one that fit into your supply chain theme. We're going to talk about that here real quick.
Okay.
I do want to start with SMCZ because there's really nothing to cover here. This is the Defiance Daily 2X Levered SMCI ETF. This actually was at the top of the movers list earlier this morning, although it's in second place, if you will, now. This is basically just moving on the SMCI report. SMCI is moving lower here. So this is just the levered ETF for that. Really nothing for us to cover. Now, I'm going to go out of order here because I'm going to start with this first one. This is going to be sorry, producer. I know you were trying to do your best there, and I just threw you a huge curveball. CYRX here. This is Cryoport. Cryoport shares are trading higher after the company reported a Q2 revenue beat. KeyBank upgraded the stock from sector weight to overweight. You can see we actually traded higher a little bit here today. This one, I believe, was the one that had the supply chain. That was part of your supply chain theme here. Yeah. So a leading global provider in temperature controlled supply chain solutions for life sciences announced its earnings here today. This actually beat and guided higher. Stock's up by 23% here today. So stock was about six and three quarter yesterday. We did go towards 950. We come back in a little bit. We're actually not far beneath the VWAP, so wouldn't even be terribly shocked if this recaptured the VWAP, and then we can start looking for that maybe 940 highs that we had earlier here. So CYRX, let's do a quick look around the horn on this one. 6.49% of the float shorted here and 7.51 days to cover. Now that days to cover comes on about 500,000 shares. Today we've traded just shy of 3 million shares. So we'll see if this has any type of squeeze action. Float's 41.5. What do you got here, 13?
I could have sworn that this was kind of in a topic that was discussed. I thought with Tim Melvin regarding how there are not a lot of cryo or refrigerated transportation. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't believe I was the one that brought up that particular aspect of supply chains. Because I think what I remember hearing from that, and I'm pretty sure it was Tim, he said that there are not a lot of these, not a lot of support for cryogenic and refrigerated transportation. Like it's only a handful of companies. So I thought that was what I was recall hearing, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Looking at this company, yeah, this is you already said what it was. They had earnings yesterday, but I didn't look at this one this morning. The movers list is kind of like all over the place this morning.
Yeah, it was. I am sorry if I threw you a curveball too. That okay. Wasn't my intention.
But I can take a look at this real quick. It's it's still not profitable, but it's looking like they're still making progress towards profitability. They haven't really raised their guidance. It's still kind of in the same range they had it before. Sales in line. I mean, it's okay. I didn't cover this one, so I don't know if there's anything special under the hood going on with it. So let's go to the technicals and see what I can find. But no, I appreciate you bringing this up and kind of pointing out that this is in that supply chain wheelhouse. I think that's absolutely right. We should probably keep an eye on this one. But right now in this morning, it's currently trading beneath the VWAP. Tried to recapture it earlier this morning around 8, but wasn't successful with that. So still looks like we may continue to go lower. It did get some support from the 65 EMA. So from here, let's just wait and see if it's going to continue to go sideways or if it's going to continue to weaken and go towards that 65 EMA, which I have at 786 right now. So let's look at that as the next area of support. And of course, VWAP will be resistance. We'll see what happens.
That 786 actually lines up pretty perfectly with one of those pre-market lows, the higher low after that initial pull down. So, okay, really good stuff there, CYRX. Should I start with LPSN here? I know this is moving recently on volume. Unsure if you covered this one, but this is an active catalyst.
Yep, let's go.
All right, let's go ahead and do this one. Live person shares are trading higher after the company announced it expanded its partnership with Google Cloud to integrate AI capabilities directly into the live person connected experience platform. I don't even really need to go any further. We can already tell what kind of catalyst this is going to be. This was a penny stock yesterday. We're graduating into dollar territory today. Looks like we are finding some resistance right up here around $1.50, but we've got Google Cloud in the PR here and integrating AI capabilities directly into this company here. This should be a pretty good PR to juice it. We'll see if we get another trade here. I'm curious to see what happens if this does pull back and hold the 137 VWAP. Quick look around the horn here. Short interest, 13.67% of the float shorted. That comes with a days to cover of 6.78. So this is definitely kind of squeezy here. It's not above our 20% threshold, but it's still pretty high nonetheless. On average, stock trades 1.2 million shares, and remember, it was a penny stock that average is being measured off of. Today, we've traded 35.5 million. Float on this is 81.5 million. What do you think here? Ticker LPSN. I know we've traded this before. Oh, and one more thing is, if I didn't just give you enough there, earnings in 5 days here, Wednesday after the market closes.
Yeah, and this one, the partnership with Google, that's going to cause this to likely move some more, but we are getting through a bit of a consolidation area right now, going back to the beginning of the year. But this company does have quite a bit of cash, but they also have a lot of debt. So as long as they can continue to service that debt, which it looks like they'll be fine doing for now, since that portion of long-term debt, they really don't have any due anytime soon, it looks like. But their revenue is seeing some growth decline. So that is concerning. Aside from all that, the news today is basically what we're going to trade on. And we have already cleared the 65 and 200 EMAs on the daily. And we're in this area right now. We're trying to move above the consolidation back from January and February. And once we do, we're going to get into pretty close to where a gap fill is. Now, we have tried to fill this gap back from March of 2024 a couple of times since we lost these levels back then. We have not filled the gap yet. I think the highest that we got was about 208. So we're going to be looking at some of those levels where we attempted to fill that gap. I have 180 as one particular level. The next one that's we're really close to looks like about 160, 158, 160. And then, of course, we have that high from the end of the year last year at 208. This gap does not fill until about 230. So we could still see more upside beyond 2 if the volume holds up. So just some levels to watch for with LPSN.
Okay, really good stuff there. I love this comment. Thinking about it's already bringing the heat here. LPSN, digital customer conversation, which means live person isn't a real live person. You can't make this stuff up. Okay, next here is going to be AIMD. This is Años. Años shares are trading higher after the company announced it secured a 3-year subscription. Stock looks like this was about 230 yesterday, popping above 3 here today, up 40%. A little bit more color on that. The order is a $2.1 million order with ASE for the first deployment of AI nose in semiconductor manufacturing setting. I probably have to dive into that a little bit more. 3-year subscription order valued at $2.1 million. For the first deployment of AI nose in the semiconductor manufacturing setting. So there you go. Let me see what $2.1 million subscription. The market cap is 9.7 million on the stock. They had a revenue of 106,000 going into this. Quick look around the horn on this one. Short interest, 2.07% of the float shorted. That also has 1 day to cover. And that comes on an average volume of 92,000 shares. Today we've traded almost 21 million. So what do you think here on this one, 13, AIMD?
I'm kind of trying to hold back laughter. This is hilarious. If you would do me the favor of going to the 8 a.m. The headline and just reading like the first couple of paragraphs. This is actually pretty hilarious.
So go back to the actual PR itself.
Yeah. And read the first couple of paragraphs.
Okay, so read this. A leader in AI-powered scent digitization today announced it has secured a 3-year subscription-based order valued at $2.1 million, the world's largest provider of semiconductor assembly and test services. The agreement represents the first commercial success of the proprietary AI Nose platform, which we talked about. Under the agreement, it will deploy 1,400 AI Nose units across 3 major manufacturing sites in Taiwan, Zhongli and Spill. Although this rollout, through this rollout, Años will launch several smell tech as a service model to enhance the ASEH's smart manufacturing initiatives. enabling AI-powered scent intelligence designed to improve process stability, support predictive maintenance, and increase operational safety.
This is hilarious to me. How often have we always said, man, I wish I could smell this through the TV, or I could, I'm not saying that's what this is, but this is just funny to me. Smell tech as a service.
Isn't this using, okay, I'm going to use the term that they used here, scent digitization. Isn't this probably used for detecting defects in manufacturing semiconductor chips?
I don't think, because I think this is more on the biotech side, so it could be. I have no idea what this is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, coming into this, I didn't know what AI scent digitization is, so forgive me. I guess we're trying to figure that out right now. But interesting nonetheless. What do you think about the stock itself?
Okay, yeah, let's get back to that, since I have no idea if I can take smell tech as a service seriously yet. Float of 2.5 million. They have let's see, about a little more than 2.5 in the bank. They lose more than that a quarter. So it's looking like they're going to have to raise some capital, unless they did a capital raise not that long ago. See some insider selling happening last month. They did a 1-for-5 stock consolidation. I assume that means a reverse split. Never heard of a consolidation. So they're kind of going through the steps of NASDAQ compliance. I'm not sure if that's the case here with this, but if they did do that reverse split, a 1-for-5 reverse split, then the next step is going to likely be to raise cash. With a float of 2.5 million, I think that step could be coming. Be careful with this one. It's been on a run. Let me take a look here on my.
It actually looks like this pre-market high 13 to the penny matches the pre-market high from Monday, where we got rejected and never even came close to retesting. So that area right there seems to be key for me, at least right away. And then furthermore, I really think this 335 and maybe even 4 area is next.
You do have a pre-market high of 345 back in early July on the 7th. Not sure what the news is on that one, but it was running up into that level as well. So, and then we have a lot of consolidation up in this the 330 to all the way up to 4. So I think you're right about from here all the way up to 4 could see a number of different resistance areas. So one of the bigger ones could be coming in at about 360, maybe after we get past that 345 high that we saw earlier. So we'll see what we end up getting here. But this has been on a big run this morning. I would think this comes back in, and the support levels that I see from here are going to be VWAP, maybe even $3 itself, where we're at right now.
Okay. Really good stuff there. Okay, next on the list here is going to be ticker MYGN. This is Myriad Genetics. Myriad Genetics shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 EPS and sales. Really quickly on this one, because when we talk about some of these, and a lot of them are just a little bit different. This is a molecular diagnostics company that provides testing services designed to assess an individual's risk of developing a disease. So, all right. Looking at this here, well, we did pop in the after hours 550. We came back in a little bit, but we basically returned to the consolidation area, or at least the top end of the range. We're doing a really good job sitting above VWAP here. Volume is not crazy, but it really hasn't dried up completely. Quick look around the horn, 11.5% of the float shorted here, 11.58%, and 6.74 days to cover. On average, the stock trades 2.1 million. Today, we've traded 1.18 million, and the float is 65 million. What do you think on this one, 13?
I think that their earnings and particularly their guidance raise is the whole reason this is moving this morning. Now, they didn't lose as much cash last quarter as they have in previous ones. They do have enough cash to last them 2 to 3 quarters. If we look backwards and see how much they were losing previously, if that's still the case, then they have about 2 to 3 quarters. They have a lot more if it's going to be lower, like the most recent quarter reported. But that guidance raise, it was originally in the range where the estimates were, and then this raise of their guidance lifted it out of that estimation and above the estimation now. So it's now trading better, it's trading on the guidance being better than expected. And I think that's the big takeaway here. With the 11.5% of the float short at 6 days to cover, you may still continue to see this run some more, but I'm not sure how much more we're going to get, hold on a second. Let me pull this up my broker here. So we are kind of going sideways. I'm not exactly sure how much more we're going to get out of this, but we do have a bit of a trend line here. So that would be the thing I'd be watching for here, is whether or not we break this trend line that we've been putting in since the highs from the after hours yesterday. We have support right now at the VWAP. It's currently getting that. But beneath that, we have the 65 EMA. If we lose that, the next support I see is down at about 485, and then the 200 EMA at 470. But if we break out, we have this consolidation from the after hours yesterday. We still have to get through. That's been providing resistance this morning. That's going to be at about 525. So if we break this trend line, 525 is what we're going to want to see taken out next.
Okay. Really good breakdown there. MYGN. Good job there, 13. Next on the list here is IPDN. This is professional diversity. Did you have this one covered on your list?
It's funny because this was the first one I looked at because it was at the top of the list. Now
right,
it's not.
and it came back in. Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I figured looking at the chart here. Glad that's how it worked out. Professional Diversity Network shares are trading higher after the company announced the appointment of a new CEO. Let's see if we know who that is. Zun Wu. So sorry, I don't know who that is. Igniting accelerated growth in AI, global expansion, and shareholder value. So it looks like this company also going the AI route with this CEO, causing a 25% pop in the stock price here today. Quick look around the horn on this. 1.25% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Pretty negligible short interest on this name. On average, it trades 1 million shares. Today, we've traded 19 million shares. The float's 1.8 million shares. So this one actually might be able to move around a little bit. I feel like we've traded IPDM before. As you mentioned, 13, we've actually had 2 impulse moves this morning. And 2 big pullbacks. This has created some higher lows, so that's good. But we are sitting beneath the VWAP here, 228 versus 251 VWAP. I'd love to see a cross of that to really kind of get going on this. What do you think?
Well, I thought this was a Chinese company, and I was sort of right because it was, but it's not anymore. Since 2020, I think you might know why, they no longer have any business in China. I think they still do have a subsidiary, but I don't think it does much of anything. I had the reason why it wasn't a Chinese company anymore. I believe it had something to do with government pressures or some kind of issue. But they're not based out of China anymore. They're based out of Chicago now. So that answered that question because I saw the name of the CEO and I was like, let's see if this is a China pump or not. I don't think it is. It's just running on a new CEO. With the float, the short interest being 1%, 1.25%. I don't think we're going to see any squeeze action here. I'm not sure how much more we'll get out of this. We're kind of hanging out between the VWAP and the 200 EMA, just going sideways since 8:45. I think we just need to wait and see where this goes after the open. If it goes up towards VWAP, I'm going to be looking at VWAP as resistance. If it goes down towards the 200 EMA, I'm going to be looking at it as support.
Okay. Sounds really good. Good breakdown there. IPDN. Real quick, Rob, good morning. I love the American flag too. Good morning, Rob. Let's go. All right. Next here on the list, I want to talk about Shop. This is actually a stock that someone else had asked about. It happens to be on the movers list, but it's not one of these small junky companies. No. This is in fact Shopify. Shopify shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 sales. This was a beat on the top and the bottom line here. EPS 35 cents versus the 29 cent estimate, and 2.68 billion beat the 2.55 billion. Merchant solution sales and GMV up over 30% year over year. During the conference call, execs reportedly says through Q2 and early August, our merchant base has remained resilient. Merchants are adapting to changes in economic landscape and continue to perform well. Haven't seen any drops in U.S. demand, whether inbound, outbound, or local, and many merchants have raised prices. We are tracking that in relation to overall inflation levels in the U.S. Recent announcements regarding de minimis exemption for other countries beyond China is still in the very early stages here. The stock up 16% on the back of that earnings. What do the options imply on this? I can't remember.
What does that tell you about where inflation is right now? It's not. I mean, it seems like it's overblown. or for the time being, based on what we're getting out of this conference call here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, yes, they're elevated. It seems like it's not actually ruining anyone's plans. That's my takeaway. Yeah. Not yet. Maybe that changes. I guess throw the tariffs in there the same way, but so far, so good. And actually, they had one of the Bank of America analysts on CNBC this morning. I can't ever remember her name correctly, and I'm sorry. Anyway, she was saying that she's really, really impressed with how resilient not only the consumer, but the economy is as well, citing some similar things here. So in any case, Shopify, really nice beat here. I'm sorry, I don't actually have what the options were implying on this. I normally do have that here, but I don't see that. And okay, in any case, this definitely, I know we've talked a lot about option sellers really winning the day. Option buyers won it here on Shopify. All right, any thoughts on this one, where this might go? We can take a look at the daily chart, the regular chart. Let me actually reset this a little bit.
Yeah,
Blue sky breakout, I believe. Oh, no, not quite.
No. I'd say 150 is your next resistance level. Back in 21, you have a bunch of several areas you could look at for resistance. 150 certainly stands out. You could make an argument for some areas in 150, but then you also have 160, which also to me kind of stands out. Maybe slightly beneath 160. 165 as well. That was the high from July of 21. And then I think this is the all-time high. I don't think there's anything higher than that, but the high from November, which was 176 and 29 cents. I think that was what? Yeah. That's going to be your all-time high. So it looks like 170, 175 is also going to have some resistance in there. But beyond that, could we see a blue sky? So we're getting much closer to a blue sky breakout than not. But I think that 150 area is going to start to give us trouble. Okay.
Really good stuff there. All right. That does it here for the movers list. Jay here mentioning inflation economists were dead wrong. JC Parrots and Ryan Dietrich commented that Mark Zandi, a Biden puppet, has been wrong for 4 years. I got news for you. He's been wrong for a lot longer than that. I actually had a list that I was going to break out the other day. We didn't get to it. We didn't really need to. That guy has been making really poor predictions since like 2006. And yes, there we go. Thank you. Savita Subramanian. I have to remember this because I would say that name wrong. It was Savita. Good call, Smell. Thank you for the assist. High five on that one. That's really good.
And good job on you for reading that correctly, because I read that differently.
Well, that's why I have to look at it, because otherwise I might say I might mix it up with some, or mix it up with another like physicist name, because those names can be pretty tough. But Savita Subramanian, she's sharp too. I actually like when she appears on CNBC. She's one of the smarter people, I think, that appear on that network. Okay, she is cool. Agreed. All right, let's take a look at some of the other stocks that folks wanted to take a look at. Sure. Looks like Izzy wants to take a look at Uber. No one is surprised at that. He just wants your opinion, so I'll just save that till the end here. I won't give my own on it. We'll go with Palantir here first. They, of course, obviously still moving after their huge earnings beat. What's going on here? Oh, Rymany, what's going on with my chart? There we go. I was going to say, I don't think there hasn't been a problem all morning. That had to have just been a hiccup. Here's Palantir. All right. Now, what we have been talking about recently on Palantir has been this trend line. We actually were able to gap above the trend line yesterday. So far here, we've held it. 171 is our price today. If I zoom in here and estimate the price for you, I might have drawn it a little bit different than you, 13, but I've got this trend line here at 168.83. So let's call it 168 to 169 as that area. This would be a potential area to watch on Palantir. If we give this up, I think you might be looking at a gap fill lower. I'm not sure I'm ready to say it's going to do that yet. Honestly, I want to see that actually break. I want to see it close beneath that before we get it. What do you have here on Palantir?
I think I would really like to see that gap fill, because I think that could represent another buying opportunity.
Okay.
Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, because I share what Lion's been saying in chat about how we're headed towards a potential pullback or a correction. I certainly do see the market making some kind of corrective move, whether it be 5%, 10% or more. I can't say for sure right now, but I do believe that some kind of corrective action is coming. So maybe we do get that, and that helps this gap fill. But if this gap fills before we get that corrective move, I think I'd be a little bit nervous about this continuing to come in some more, maybe even going down to the 50-day SMA or lower.
Okay. All right, good stuff there on Palantir. Mickey D's was next, ticker MCD. They reported earnings here, holding higher here by 2.88%. Currently looking at like $307. This is notable because this actually busts us above this recent formation. And actually, it closes the gap. We had a little tiny gap here between Friday, June 6th and Monday, June 9th. And that gap is filled now with this move higher. So McDonald's here, I would say your next level here, probably 313, 314. If you remember back to the last time we tried to trade McDonald's, 315 was actually another pretty key level, and I suspect that would come back into play here again today. A McDonald's shares trading higher after better than expected Q2 financial results. Really quickly, those numbers: EPS 319 beat the 314 estimate, 6.84 bill beat the 6.68 billion estimate on that. So 13, you got any thoughts here on the McDonald's chart?
Well, it's nice to see that the stock has recovered its 20, 50, and 200-day SMAs. There's also a little bit of a trend line here that the price has been kind of riding up starting from the late June. You could draw a trend line up through these lows, and after that earnings yesterday, we bounced off this level again as well. Now to the upside, since you've already mentioned, I think that gap though, we got that in the pre-market here. But I think 310 looks like the next resistance area. 310 to about 318. I'm a little concerned about for resistance. Did we just open? We just opened.
Yeah, we're open.
Okay, so sorry about that. I'll get to Uber in just a second. So I'd be concerned about the resistance coming up to about 315 to 318. We'll see if it can push through that. If we can, we may go on to see new all-time highs.
Okay. Okie dokie.
All right, so CYRX. This is popping out of the gate here. Just took out VWAP, and we are making our way up toward that 945 pre-market high. Let's look at some of these other ones. LPSN, this is trying to get going, but I'm not sure I like the way the chart looks. This might come back in some more. We're going to look at the 15 EMA as the next area of support, and then after that, I think 125 would be the area of support after that, if it can hold, if it can't hold VWAP.
All right, I'm actually going to watch this one for a potential scalp here today. I really need it to come in, though. Kind of ran away from me there.
AMD is trying to push up beyond the pre-market highs here. Just moved up to new highs, 334. It just pushed over the pre-market highs just a second ago. Looking for a little bit more highs. Next resistance, I think, was 350. Let me double check that here. I think that's what we were saying was 350 could be the next, one of the next resistance areas.
By the way, CYRX, this just pushed right up to that resistance area and pulled off, but it's not breaking down yet. We might actually see some new highs here. This would have represented a pretty good take profit area if you were playing from the VWAP cross.
You may be able to get a little bit of a trend line going here with CYRX. If you draw it from the, what is this, the 550 high through the 650 high, that puts the potential area about 975 where this might go to. So as long as we don't break down, that's what I'd be looking at. Sorry.
And as I've been saying here, the trend lines have been crispy, so we'll leave that on there. We'll see if we get that here. This is actually losing 9 as we speak. Real quick.
AMD popped higher.
That's AIMD, right?
Yep. I should just spell out the ticker instead of saying AMD.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that that I got that one right, but I got it. If you say AMD, I'll get it here.
Okay. MYGN now, this is the one we drew the trend line on that we wanted to see broken. It looks like it was trying to do that going into the open of the regular session here, but that was met with sellers that took it beneath VWAP and brought it all the way down to the 65 EMA where it bounced. Now it's back above the VWAP. Let's see if this is going to break out this next time. Volume needs to really expand here, though.
Brian, good to see you again. I know I typed that earlier. Welcome back. And I think, Kevin, you said you took the summer off. Not a bad idea. Welcome back, both of you.
AIM still going higher, 361 now the high. As a matter of fact, I think this one just broke through a potential trend line that we didn't draw. No, it came actually right up to the trend line. Now it's broken through. 372 now the high. AIM so far the best mover this morning.
Apple power candle out of the gate. Someone mentioned this. It might have been EKS. I can't remember who this was, but shout out to you. Apple shares trading higher after the White House economic advisor Hassett reportedly said that the company could make an additional commitment announcement here today. Let's see if they had any numbers on that. I think whoever put, 100 billion. Trump Apple to announce a fresh 100 billion in U.S. manufacturing. Apple here up 2.7%. As far as Apple goes, 215 still that breakout level that we're looking for here. I will say, now that we've kind of tested it a few times, if we are able to clear above that, might actually try a little bit on that.
And aimed now at 390 as the high. Real quick with Uber.
Let me actually put this on a bigger chart here, 13, and I'm going to step away while you cover it real fast because Izzy didn't want my opinion at all. So let me make sure I don't cloud it for you. Let me get Uber up here, and then we'll go ahead and take care of that real fast.
Okay, so apparently they had earnings this morning. They were beats, but they it doesn't look like they were very large beats. So kind of wondering if that has something to do with this choppiness here. Let's look at some levels. There might have been an investor expectation that wasn't met, some magic number that they were hoping for and they just didn't get. Now we're looking at a rejection of the 20-day SMA, losing the 50 in the process. This is following multiple green candles, but 3 upward candles after the August 1st one was a bit of a reversal. We could still. Oh no, we did fill that gap. Interesting. I think the $88 level we need to hold. If we lose that, we're going to start. Got a little bit of a gap between the 1st and the 4th of August that we could end up filling. I think 88 really does need to hold. That's about the best I can give at the moment. Because if 88 doesn't hold, then and we close down beneath that, you're losing not only the 20-day SMA, which we're already beneath, but you're closing certainly beneath the 50-day SMA, and those have been the 50 in particular has been a level that has provided support on the way up here. So pretty bad to lose that for a prolonged period of time. But 88 is going to be the level I'd be watching for. Once we lose that, we can revisit this and see what else we can infer from the movement. All right, so AIMD that hit 390, still trying to hang above this trend line here. Looks like MYGN also getting a lift here. That broke over the trend line finally. So we got to move up to 555 about. Now we're coming back in, hopefully to back test the trend line and get support there. That was a nice little trade out of the gate there for MYGN. That looks like
AIMD still looks like that might be going for 4 here, but I think I added the trend line the way that you had it drawn there, the top side of that.
I like it. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
That's. I mean, I don't know if I drew it the exact same way. It's fine. It's still pretty much gives the same idea. And both yours and mine have been broken over. So hey, no problem, Izzy. Sorry I couldn't give you some more. Maybe when we get a little bit more price action, I can look at it again. Looks like IPDN is still trying to recapture that VWAP. Live person. I don't think they even have a live person trading this right now.
Tesla, sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say Tesla just a straight up move out of the gate here. Actually hadn't seen anything on the options yet, but Tesla, a nice move there, about a 311.5 before stopping.
Still compressing Tesla. It's been riding the bottom part of the triangle that we were looking at earlier. I think either this week or last week. It's been compressing into a bit of a triangle pattern. And we're still bouncing around within that triangle, still continue to compress. So if we are going to keep getting this, I'm not sure we'll see a whole lot of price action above 315. We might see some prints, but not a whole bunch because we are still compressing in this name here.
Anne-Marie Bannon saying someone just sold 1.1 million shares in one swoop in NVIDIA. NVIDIA down by about 0.5% here, but you can see it's actually up from the open. That's an interesting block there, Anne-Marie.
Kathy Wood.
No word on that yet, 13.
I know. I'm just. Hey, I think you're right, Lion. It's just I don't know if it's going to be today or if it's going to be later this week. But we are going to get some choppiness. I think the real big rug pull isn't going to come until probably later this month or early September.
Yeah, I think that your September time is probably right on. I think you probably get head fakes in the meantime, 13, which is one thing that we don't want to mess around with. Here's what I will say. Yesterday, so sorry, I know AIMD hit 4. It's testing 4 right now. And it just went right through on AIMD. I'll go ahead and bring that up. But really quickly, 13, I wanted to mention, because this is important for the broader market. Yesterday, good and bad, obviously the great stuff with Ondas. And if you folks want, I can cover that a little bit here. And then the bad stuff with ditching a failed investment in Portillo's. Also, personal update, I'm never eating at Portillo's again for the rest of my life, nor will I accept free food from Portillo's for the rest of my life. Do not support that company or that clown management team, please. However, what I will say is that this entire thing has ended up in me freeing up a ton of cash, which is something that I wanted to do, because if we do get a rug pull, like Lion was saying, I'm really looking to deploy that capital on a discount. Hopefully we end up getting that here, and I am ready for it now. So really, really good stuff there from yesterday. Again, if you guys want to take a look at Ondas, we can do that. 13, I'm sorry for stopping you right as AIMD broke 4 and printed 424 on the high.
Hey, that's okay. Everybody's already got their eyes on, including you. So I think everybody saw this, and hopefully some people got some money out of this. This was a really nice move over the trend line. We are getting some big upper shadows here, so don't overstay your welcome. If this sets up for another trade, great, we'll hit that then. But this was a pretty big set of moves up to 424, so we could get a little bit of selling pressure here. Just trade this thing. Be careful. You know what to do, guys.
AIMD, I'd love a back test to this trend line. That would be something else, and then maybe another attack at 4. VHN, I am now over 50% cash in the portfolio, so I'm ready to deploy when we get it. When we get the spot to deploy.
2,000 pounds VHV. That's how much a ton is. I'm being a smartass. I'm sorry.
I know. I know. I actually thought that was great. Cam, Portillo's reported their earnings. The big takeaway from that is that the affinity for Portillo's just does not travel. In fact, they opened their conference call by saying that the sales at Texas are going slower than anticipated. They're behind on their store openings. The management team can't get out of its own way. They brought an activist investor who's now down on his position. It's a complete and total mess. Wiss, if you want to try for the turnaround, go ahead. I just completed a long turnaround trade, or partly completed it. I am going to take a break on turnarounds, at least for the time being.
Just waiting for some of these movers to do something. Looks like MYGN wants to try and recapture VWAP. AIMD still holding above the trend line, although this is the first red candle of the regular session. CYRX holding above the VWAP. This still has yet to hit the trend line we drew, but hasn't broken down yet. LPSN, this one is looking for some kind of a bounce. Might get one, but I don't know that this is going to end up recapturing the VWAP anytime soon. So we'll just keep an eye on that one. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Sydney, are you still out there? Sydney, ticker TDW, Tidewater. They reported earnings, had a monster day yesterday. It actually looks like option players are cashing out that trade here today. I just wanted to know, Sydney, I know you've been following this for years. Tidewater has made huge moves in the years that you've been a part of the community. Let me know where you think this goes next here, ticker TDW.
Little blast from the past. Yesterday, we talked Lemonade. That's up over 50 this morning. So,
and I believe Jay earlier said that LMND, Jay had said earlier that Root was same business here as Lemonade, right? Lemonade actually looks like it's popping over yesterday's high and trying to move higher here. Let's take a look at the Root chart.
Root seems to have a hard time with getting up to 130. Couldn't do it in the opening in the open or the regular session yesterday. Couldn't do it in the pre-market today. But I'm not saying that it's down yet. It's just that 130 seems to be a bit of a struggle for this company right now.
Okay, real quickly here, did want to comment on this. Of course, we had Senator Duffy, or excuse Secretary Duffy, give the special announcement there on drones. Had a great day here. I told you guys I had an open order at 3. Given the event, I actually altered that order and sold at 3:05, so I got a little bit more on that here. And as mentioned, raised a lot of cash here, so the remaining shares can be a little bit more patient with here on Ondas, which is great. Here's the thing that I wanted to cover. I don't know how many people actually caught this during the presentation, but I went ahead and grabbed some screenshots that I found. Here is one of the drones that was being prominently displayed during that session, and it has the American Robotics logo here. I'm not sure if we covered this enough. American Robotics is a subsidiary of Ondas. And it gets better because of the 3 drones that were displayed during this, 2 of them were owned by Ondas. The Iron Drone and the Optimus drones being featured here. I got to think that this is going to be good for Ondas going forward. The good news here so far is that because we've already traded this kind of around our core position, should be able to kind of be a little bit more patient with this. At least that's my plan here. So looking pretty good here. I'm hoping for a move to 5, and I am definitely, no matter what happens, holding a chunk of these shares for a move to double digits. I don't know if we get that this year, but that's one of the things that I'm looking at there. So really good stuff here on this at yesterday's highs. We'll see if we pop above that here. 311 was the high print from the after hours.
I think you're going to run into a little bit of resistance from about 320 to 350. I'm seeing some consolidation back here from November of 22. This is about where you start to get heavier into supply. So I do still see a little bit more upside here, but I think you're going to run into a lot of selling pressure between 325 and 350.
Yep, and that's why trading around the core position was so key for doing this. So, okay, really good stuff there. We'll see how that goes. 312 now. More new highs here on Ondas. Great. Also seeing some Tesla calls. Tesla's continuing to hit the highs here.
You getting some news that this doesn't hit the wire yet, or what?
What was the level that you gave earlier?
For Tesla?
Yeah. I could have sworn you gave one earlier.
Well, what I was, let's see here, because what I was saying was that we're still compressing, and let's see here, because I thought I may have, I don't remember what the level was.
That's okay. That's okay.
We're still consolidating, but we're really in a small range here where we probably won't go a whole lot higher than 315, because if we do, we're going to be outside of the consolidation area. I just don't know what's happening here. Here we go again with AMD. This is providing another trade. I don't think I really commented on levels. I just said that this is still compressing.
Okay. I think 315 is what I was thinking there. Real quick here, Samel, earnings for night for Ondas. No, I believe that's actually August 4th is when they're going to do that. Let's see here. Yes, confirmed for 6 days. August 12th. So Tuesday before the market opens is what we have for the ONDS earnings report. Now, I will say, when we first started talking about this, just as kind of a reminder here, when we first started talking about this, we started talking about it when it was like 70 cents. That was really the big buy trigger. A number of you were scalping this back and forth around $1, which was awesome. Izzy, big shout out. You were hitting this over and over again. Now we're up here at 3 with an earnings report coming. Make sure that you have your risk figured out if you're going to hold into that earnings event. For me here, as I was saying, I've sold a bunch on the way up here, so I don't feel as exposed for this earnings event, and I've actually put some of that money in my pocket, waiting for a market pullback here. So pretty good stuff. Make sure you're not overexposed for that earnings print on ONDS.
VHV, was that comment this today?
Yeah, Dari was on CNBC today. I think that might be what VHV is mentioning. Let me see if I've got it in the news feed here.
It says down here at about 220, Tesla is the only company to master unsupervised autonomy, says Gary Black. Predicts Uber partnerships will bring robotaxis to its platform. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to, if there was something else.
During a conference call, Uber CEO reportedly says, talk to private equity players and banks regarding in financing for Robotaxi. Was that what you were just mentioning?
No, I was talking about something Gary Black was saying.
Okay. Oh, right. Gary Black, who's been following the Tesla Robotaxi stuff. Okay.
Yeah, Alrod says UNH knife. You don't say. Let's see.
How's Big B's doing on that one?
Oh man, that is quite a knife. You're right.
Just trying to go from memory here. Big B's was the target area for UNH 175 to 220. Remind me if you're still out there what that actually was, because I think we're still going for that here.
Sure looks like we could. I mean, we already hit that 135 area. That was that was great. That was great to see. Still want to see some lower prints though. I do like 170. I think I was saying 180. 181 to 220. That seems like a good area.
175 to 220. Big B's. There he is. We got it. All right. So we still got some more room to get down to that target price. Zach here says, I'm in on this from 95 cents. Thanks to you.
Wow.
You're welcome, Zach. Awesome on that. Please make sure you've paid yourself. That's really great stuff. Saw Jake said he sold some of the 350 calls. Look, Jake was also in there he was adding a lot down when this thing was in the pennies. So Jake's doing just fine on that. You guys will have to confirm for this for me, but is there something with an ASTAT going on now because of this? Something like that? I could have sworn I saw that on Twitter. I'll let you guys fill that in for me. But good stuff there. Again, Jay, the big thing here is that I'm super glad it hit some of my early targets. The rest of this is going to be so much easier. And frankly, by the way, I will stop on a little bit more of my position if this thing starts to flirt with the 2 area. That would still represent more than 100% from some of those buys. And if this goes back into dollar area again, we'll probably reload this position using profits that we made from this last run up. And
those of you that are trading A-Lab, well done. This thing is already up over $13 since it opened.
A-Lab, this is a gap and go, right? Because they reported earnings here. Indeed. Look at this. They reported earnings last night. The impulse move got sold off and then bought right back before even the pre-market. Now we have more strength here in the pre-market. We got a nice little gap and go here. I would use that 9 EMA cross if you're still in it. Ryan, I know you said you sold it too soon, but you know what that means to me, buddy? You made a profitable trade, so you're going to get a register ring on that. Good stuff there.
See some folks talking about MP hitting a 52-week high and that we want to see some pullback here in MP. You want some stupid levels?
I love stupid levels, 13.
How about 88 to 90 before we see a meaningful pullback? We could see we could see it go from where it's at right now back down to 59. But I don't think I would call that a meaningful pullback. I'm talking much bigger than that. Like down to the 50-day SMA would be a meaningful pullback to me. Going back down to the 20-day SMA where it's kind of been riding it up, I don't think that would be enough. But if we continue grinding up here, I'd be targeting 88 to 90 before we see real resistance kick in.
Also, really quickly here, a couple of other stocks that reported earnings. Here's Jay's LEU. I guess I should say Jay and Lion, but I credit this to the J call here. They also reported earnings up another 21%. Jay, I got to ask, are you still trimming this position? One of the reasons that I asked that is because, first of all, this was extremely successful. But the other thing is that I'm going to try and replicate what you did here with Ondas if it continues. In other words, I'm going to try and have multiple trims, not just 2 or 3 until the position is closed. I'd like to trim this like you did. I think that you trimmed LEU about 10 times. I was just doing some remembering there. I very easily could have misremembered. But I want to trim a lot. And I want to kind of manage a winning trade that we have on our hands now. You've done a really good job on that with LEU. You've shared that with the group for all this time. So any tips you have on that or ways that you manage that, I would be interested in that. Another huge move here in LEU today. Let me actually reset this a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, just looking at
you're good.
What Disney was saying about their earnings. They're getting hit.
They're
pretty, down almost 4.5% about. I'd be.
So we're taking another leg lower. 13. I had mentioned earlier. I covered a little bit of this earlier because Disney's also in the news with ESPN buying NFL Network or a stake there, and how that's going to affect things. I did shout you out earlier, though. I believe it was yesterday that you said that the Disney chart looked bearish.
Yeah,
and here we go. So now down 4%. We're actually extending that loss here from the open. Really good stuff, 13.
Oh, thank you. That looks like it kind of had a slanted head and shoulders pattern that just didn't look great. You had a lot of these SMAs kind of rolling over here. Just a lot of indicators just didn't look very good to me. So I was like, this kind of looks bearish. Don't think I'd be interested in this. And here we are trading lower. So this is down to the consolidation back from May. There may be some support coming in there, but if we lose this area, then I would be leaning on the 200-day SMA.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask you. What spot would you be interested in this? You're leaning on the 200-day SMA. Really good stuff there. Also, seems that a number of you are mentioning FIG. Again, a big congrats to everybody that was able to successfully trade this on the opening day. Really, since that opening day when all that hype was, I guess, priced into it. I guess that's what we want to say. This thing has been kind of a bummer. And Smoke Tuna, I didn't forget because when we were talking about FIG, the way that I wanted, I was very undisciplined and I did scalp this. Thank God I made lunch money on it and I didn't end up taking a loss on it. I was not happy with myself because it definitely felt like I was chasing. However, the bigger plan that I have here is for the expiration of the quiet period. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 days from the IPO. Quiet period is 30 days. Let's check in on this in a couple more weeks, 3 more weeks. Maybe we'll get a trade there on FIG. It is bouncing here today, though.
Several things here. So I'm seeing that Do We Trade and How is saying that Disney's going to gap fill. I would ask where, because they've got gaps everywhere. And then if you've been trading, you're still trading AIMD, and you hit that recent high it just made up to 429. Let's get a register ring for all those folks making money.
You got it.
This has been probably the better one this morning. And then I've been asked about KOPN going into earnings. So let me take a look at that and I'll get back to you.
And while you're taking a look at that, Kathy here says FIG still has a lot of upside potential. I agree with that, Kathy. But one of the things that I'd like to do is I'd like to have this IPO volatility kind of even out a little bit. That should actually make the trading easier. And if we can find a catalyst to trade around, better still. One of the things that I'm looking for there, as mentioned, is that quiet period expiration. Ondas back near highs, 314 your intraday high. RMSG Real Messenger. This is now open out of that halt here. Wis, what do you see here for a topside target?
Sorry, I'm a little silent. I'm just looking at something.
No, you're good. You're doing work, man. You don't have to apologize for that. Come on now.
Okay, so KOPN is kind of a thing behind a thing for drones. They have other segments they work with, but they are the wearables and whatnot. But they are using first-person viewer modules for drone racing. So I think that could be something. How we have a lot of these fly-by-wire drones that we've been hearing a lot of in Ukraine. It would be kind of, I guess, like that, but remotely. They already have that. I'm sure they're being used, but it's hackable or it can be jammed, I believe is what the problems with those were. Is why they're using the fly-by-wire. But being that KOPN it has a drone angle, I think that makes it a little bit more attractive. I think 210 seems to be a little bit of it could be a tough area for this stock. It was previously a resistance area. We did pop above it all the way up to 250 recently in July. But we've since come back in and held above the 50-day SMA. The 50-day SMA in KOPN has been giving some pretty good support ever since we recaptured it back in April. So that's going to be an important moving average to keep on your radar. But right now, to the upside, it looks like you have 210 as a resistance area with the 20-day SMA providing support. So
I think we'd like to see some more volume flow into this too, wouldn't we?
We would. And, it still has 13 days before they report. So I think it bears worth watching this one as we, especially the volume as we approach that earnings report.
Okay. Good stuff there, KOPN. WIS here, 340-ish on RMSG. Looks to be that resistance area, although it's feeling a little heavy right now. We'll see if it can get to 3. Would imagine it gets some resistance there as well. Brian on AIMD looks like this is trying to go higher here.
Yep.
450 is stopping it. Let me actually bring this up. Sorry, 13. Let me bring this up so I can take a look at the level 2 with you guys.
Yeah, so 450 it's still chewing through some levels here, but I think $5 is going to be the real big one now. It already blasted through the first big one I thought it was going to be, which is 4. We're coming back in a little bit now, but then from here, the next big one I see is going to be that $5 level.
Okay. I'd love to get a pullback. I got VWAP at 358 in both my broker and in trading view here. Would love a pullback for that. Mang Fang. Okay. Apple 215, is that coming soon? I would imagine a test would be coming soon here, but really, do we break out of that is the question. If we do, I think we can probably trade up towards 230.
There's news about an investment announcement coming today.
On what?
Says, on Apple.
Yeah, we already got it.
Okay.
Yeah, so Trump has said Tim Cook, they're going to expand their investment in the United States by $100 billion.
Okay, I think you'd have to, especially if India and China are both facing 500% tariffs for using Russian oil. It's not happening yet, and that legislation still has to make its way through, Congress. But that's a bill that's being pushed around right now.
Marty here is saying the thing behind the thing t-shirt, I would buy it. Yeah, 13 and I, we definitely want to work out kind of a t-shirt business thing on the side that kind of focuses on stocks, memes, jokes, and the show here. We got a couple of things we got to hammer out before we do that. But is anyone else interested in that? Because I would like to do that. I would like to do that. I think 13 is in for that as well. Yeah, I don't want to speak for you, 13, but I think you're in for that. We had enough interest in that. We could probably get that rolling here. That would be on the side, though.
I'm all about money-making memes.
I'm all about clever T-shirts that people talk about. That's I like stuff like that. I like collectible kind of one-off T-shirts like that. Market Sniper is, Zach McCracken is, okay. Okay, that's good to know, guys.
Smoke Tuna mentioning that RMSG will go. We looked at that one this morning. This is Real Messenger Corp. It looks like it's already.
Yeah, this is already going here. A real quick, Izzy, any scalps yet? No, I am watching though AIMD and RMSG here. I do like those. AI Rod mentioning APP. That has earnings tonight, by the way. App Love and Lion, what do we expect here for earnings? I know you're saying sell the pops in the market, but do you think App actually might trade well on these earnings after hours here today? Let me know what you think on APP, App Lovin'.
MYGN making another move over the VWAP and the trend line. We have a high of 555 in the regular session here. We're making our way up to that now, just slowly on this volume.
I wonder if you get a pop above 550. AIMD, we're yanking now. Okay, so we're coming back into that VWAP. Let's see if it holds here. AIMD on the VWAP. I've had that at 358. I still have that, or I got that at 360 now. Tuna, I know you're on vacation. Not to put you to work on vacation, but do you have an AI signal here on AIMD? And we haven't actually tested that VWAP yet. We came close.
Well, he was right about RMSG. That thing just ripped up to 3.
I think WIS had 340 as your spot here. That was a nice little move there through the VWAP. Oh, Tuna, you're back. Okay, how was the rest of your vacation? Good, bad, mediocre? I gotta think it's good. Tuna doesn't do sub-good vacations.
Aimed.
Lost the VWAP here on aimed. Yep, good call.
Yeah, getting support from the 15 EMA. I don't think this is going to bounce. It doesn't look like it's going to do that right now.
We went through the trend line here. Let's watch this.
I'd say let's see what happens at 315. That'd be the next area of support I'd be watching for. But yeah, RMSG, that was a real great call. Now we're coming up to 332. There's a big seller in the way there. They're chewing at it right now, and they just took it out. Just like that.
AIMD, boy, I'm going to screw that ticker up. Still trying to backtest the trend line here in the VWAP. VWAP now 361. Lion, I asked you about app. You said you trimmed half of your position because it was up big. You know what? Register ring for you, boss.
Yep.
And then you're going to let the other half of that ride for the earnings tonight. Okay.
Smoke Tuna, what do you think about LPSN? Is this going to curl and recapture its VWAP, or is this going to be a fake out? Because I'm not sure yet. They need to see better volume, and there's a large seller at 132. Just wanted to see what you think about that. AIM still kind of holding that 15
Still
EMA.
struggling. Yes, sir. Yep. SMCI down 18% on the back of its earnings here. Actually, it looked like it ran up for that February resistance area that it put into on SMCI. Probably get better action on the levered ETFs.
You guys are correct. RMSG is halted at 356. That was probably the most timely call. That was a very timely call.
Really good stuff, Wiss. Yep. Really good stuff on that.
GB Slice mentioning TNMG. Let's take a look there.
Okay.
See what that's about. This is TNL Media Gene. This is a penny stock that's trading at 49 cents right now. What's going on here? This has earnings in 13 days. Is this providing much of a move? I'm not liking the way this volume looks. This is not great. 100,000 shares traded so far. It trades an average of 3.5 million about. We need to see some more volume in this. It is making some good moves. There's no doubt about that, up 12%. But it's very hard to trade something like this. It doesn't have enough, enough volume, enough liquidity. So I'm not saying you're wrong about this being up, but I don't know that this is going to really provide much of a trade for us because of how much volume is in this right now.
PayPal here. Maybe it did finally find a bottom post earnings. It's actually looking pretty good. Still in that, added a little bit to that since we've got some time on that. Lowered the cost basis of those calls. AIMD on that back test trying to recapture the trend line and the VWAP both failed. So for right now, probably take that off the radar.
A-Lab now making new session highs.
Robert, 180. Robert, you called this one earlier, I believe. I believe you said 180 was your next resistance area. A-Lab right to that 180 level.
Lion,
it's over it by 30 cents here, but it might just be peaking over that.
Lion, they absolutely do. They need a lot of new people there because they are a bunch of scammers over there, I think. I still maintain that. Even though they're doing better, this is like it's 2 times they've had to go through that NASDAQ compliance because of
accounting
issues. Yeah, they need to get rid of a lot of people over there, in my opinion.
Robert, did you say that you were building an SMCI setup or yet to build one, as in you are going to do that? Did I see that earlier? Sorry, I'm trying to go off memory here. I don't have the comment in front of me. AIMD, by the way, back on now, or at least trying. I wouldn't trust this until it can prove it can get above the VWAP and hold there. I think you might get head faked on it.
Yeah, I think that's a great mention. The VWAP has to be recaptured, or else this is going to lose the 15 EMA.
I would agree with you 100% there. A-Lab, by the way, still pushing here, so no chill yet in A-Lab.
And some pretty good movement here in the broader market. It's watching the TQQQ and the SQQQ to see if they set up any trades. So far, not to the parameters I like yet.
MYGN looks like your 550 test coming here pretty soon.
Yes, sir.
And AIMD back up on that VWAP, but not above it. Careful. Watch it rip through the VWAP. I'm saying be careful. Watch it just absolutely pound through that VWAP. Tesla, first pullback off that power candle here so far getting bought. 318 looks to be the resistance area. And Apple now crosses 210. So whoever was waiting for that to go to 215, maybe that's up here. I don't know if we get there today. Apple already up 3.6% here today.
Ball is making me very happy. I was pretty skeptical that I wasn't going to see it. What I wasn't going to realize my expectations with bull, but man, this thing is just an absolute mirror of the downside now. Silly.
AIMD still flirting with this area. Don't feel great about it. Is there any chance Apple hits 250 by December 31? So I want to say yes. I want to say there's a chance. I'm certainly not going to guarantee that, but I do want to say that there's a chance, in particular, if the Mag 7 remains strong into the back half of the year and you get a snap from that 215. Yeah, I do think 250 is possible. But again, not promising that. Let me actually go to the bigger chart and I'll show you the breakout that we're talking about.
I don't know. I can't say for sure we'll see 250 by December. That would
to be fair, this person is not asking for a guarantee. I'm just kind of throwing that in there as a caveat. But if you take a look at the daily chart here, it does look like we're kind of holding the 500. We're actually testing the 20-day right now. So a close above this 210.12 level would actually set up pretty good. Here's the 215 break that we're talking about. We're not the only people looking at this, by the way. Remember, the day after, they had Katie Stockton, I believe, on Fast Money one night on CNBC, and she was mentioning how it was this triangle that she's really kind of looking at here. Let me see if I can draw it here for you using that 215 spot. Boop. Right here is basically what she's looking for on a break higher. Now, the good news here is that the 200-day is at 221 there. So across above that 221 puts 233 in play. 260 is your all-time high. 250 is the high here from February. So I do want to say that that's possible, but no guarantees on it. That's all. And I think that you actually have some pretty good mile markers, if you will, to denote if that trade is working. Also, by the way, that 215 break up to the 200-day, this is that low volume node that Markets and Mayhem sometimes talks about in terms of being able to maybe jump above that into the next volume shelf that we have.
I'd be keeping a very close eye at 220 for Apple. That seems like where the price could reject.
AIMD, by the way, on that attempted recapture of the VWAP in the trend line, no bueno. Now we're moving lower. This is why I said wait, because you didn't want to get that head fake on that. Instead, you'd want to see a clear move above that. We have not got that yet. AIMD. MYGN still, and I'm actually going to put this one on the in my broker here. Still waiting for that 550 pop here.
Candace is asking, why is LHAI running today? Well, the short answer is it has AI in the name, but let's actually get you the real reason. Hold on.
13.
Looks like it's a pretty new issue here. We just had this IPO back on July 24th, and it's now recaptured the IPO opening price. It looks like this thing got hammered pretty bad. So it could just be that the valuation was just so low and attractive that people took a chance and started buying this up. Let's see if there's any news. This is they completed a successful IPO launch, and that was back from July 28th. So I don't see any recent news here. It is in real estate. So I think that could fold into a theme here that we've been seeing. Cash offer. We've talked about this company before, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did. As cash offer is something that we've talked about. Maybe this is so I think this would just be something I'd be keeping an eye on in relation to all the other mortgage and home builders, and it's part of the housing theme, especially if we are going to have we're expecting rate cuts later this year. We're anticipating some more home buying next year. It seems like this is going to be one of those companies that could move with all those other mortgage AI brokers, probably even like Rocket, So we'll see.
Rocket, another really good day, by the way, printing 18. I know we're beneath 18 right now, 1793, but I'll tell you what, it got above 18 and actually went higher in the after hours. Rocket looking pretty good.
It was printing 18 yesterday. Between yesterday and today, the price action is starting to look a little bearish in the sense that we might get some pullback here. If you look at like a 5-minute chart over the past, going up to the end of the day and into the after hours and into the pre-market today, you kind of have this topping out here at about 18.15. So if we cannot get back above 18 and take out 18.15, I think that we're going to see this price come back in a little bit, maybe down to 17 or lower. That would be my thought here on Rocket, just based on the price action we've been getting lately.
Smoke Tuna mentioned AIMD is at a zone for a possible add here. This represents the pre-market high as well as the 21 EMA. Not in it, but so far it has held 333. Tree.
Now, keep in mind with Rocket, $18 was the IPO price. We haven't been, we've been up here recently. Like I think it was like October that we saw this price.
Look at Bull, dude.
September, October. Yeah, I know. I know. It's behaving so well. It did hit the trend line that I have drawn here that goes back to 2020. And we're getting pretty close to a breakout here with Rocket. So I would expect some pullback here after testing that 18.15 area. But once we break through this level again, I think we go on our run up into the 20s.
MYGN still can't get above 550. Kind of watching that bull, just no chill here. RMSG looks like this is halted to the downside now. 282.
Also, one thing with LHAI, since you folks are also mentioning it again, it looks like 740 to about 780. You have a gap fill. And yes, bull is just on a raging bull run here.
That was a great America ride back in the day.
So yeah, we're looking at 16 next. I expect 16 will be a bit of a resistance area. Really want to see a nice move through that and take out 18 on this next trip up here. We were rejected at 18 back on July 24th. Completely expected that based on the price action on the way down here. So we're going to continue to mirror this downward price action we got from earlier this year until June. I'm looking for a break over 18. I don't know about later this month, maybe, but so far it's behaving pretty well to make me think that we might end up seeing this one a breakout over 18, if not this month, next month.
Lots of Pan W calls here.
Jay,
multiple
perfect.
sweeps there. Oh my. These are leaps too. Pan W, these are the December 2026 calls. About 2.5 million in premium on those calls. 185 calls, by the way. 185 calls for December 2026, Pan W.
RMSG opened and knifed through VWAP, and it looks, I haven't got an indication that they've halted yet. It looks like they've halted, but I don't have that.
Yes, it is. I was just calling this. Sorry. This
Okay.
is definitely halted down here, 282 to the downside. Okay. MYGN on that pullback here so far held the 523 VWAP.
Smoke Tuna saying BTAI will see 4 soon. I've noticed that it kind of does, Jay, and I at the same time, I kind of scratch my head a little bit at that because Hood has been on a massive run, and I'm looking for that thing to come back in. Bull being the complete opposite of that right now. I'm looking at that one to make similar moves to Hood. I'm not thinking it's going to go into the $100 per share price like Hood was, but I still looking for a break over 18. And if we have this run into earnings, I think I'd be selling into that earnings print. Because this has been a big move. It's been making some pretty good moves coming off of that bottom in June.
Take a quick look here at the heat map for today and see if we can identify any type of rotation. Looks like we're seeing some out of healthcare names. It's interesting with Eli Lilly's report coming tomorrow morning. Tech being held higher by Apple here today.
RMSG open and lower.
Okay, we'll check back in on this. Pretty mixed other than healthcare being mostly red. Let's go back to the main workspace here and get ready.
Looks like we had a recapture of VWAP and CYRX. LPSN is also trying to turn around and recapture VWAP. IPDN getting some support from the 65 and 200 EMAs. I still don't like the way IPDN looks. So I'm not sure if we're going to see a reversal here yet. And then MYGN.
It's curling.
Which one?
MYGN.
Oh, well, it's getting some support from the 9 EMA. It looks like and the consolidation from the pre-market. It looks like it's trying to reverse here. I need to see better volume than this, though. Still looking for that 555 break. And what else do we have here?
Tommy, can you explain why big call purchases are bullish for the stock, especially out of the money long dated calls, right? If someone's willing to put $3 million down on that bet, probably good enough for my $3,000 bet.
Wow. Just fantastic movement with bull here.
Someone asked earlier about AEO calls on how they're going to do for their earnings. To me, it seems like the obvious move here is that this is going to be positive. Weren't some of you saying that the jeans have sold out here since the ad campaign? I'm pretty sure that one of the weekends there, it just kind of sold off. They sold out. My only worry on this is that it seems too obvious. Those earnings unconfirmed for the end of August. I think actually we get it a little bit sooner than that. We'll see, though. AIMD back down to that 333 load zone. So I know that curled just a little bit. Didn't really give us enough, though. I was kind of watching it, but right back down to the load area that Tuna called.
Yeah, I think LPSN is getting a little bit better volume than some of these other movers. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to break the VWAP, even though it looks like it could, and it's starting to curl up. But I think we still need some better volume than this. This has some better volume than these other ones that we're looking at. And still thinking that this comes down to probably about 3. We'll see if that's right or not. But I think 3 is about where you're going to get a little bit better support.
Rocket's still flirting with 18.
It looks like we're getting a bunch of weakness in some of these mover names that we were trading earlier. Let's be a little bit careful here, folks.
MYGN lost its VWAP again. CYRX maybe through 9 here. CYRX, watch that here. We don't have the volume that I'd like to see here on CYRX, though.
Starting to get some selling volume here in the Qs.
Qs, SPY, and Dow all have rolled over from their highs. They're still all holding green, though.
Ooh, that was a big pull there in bull.
I guess 15. That probably needed it, didn't it?
Oh, it's been on a tear, yeah.
CYRX pull back down to the VWAP here, 865.
No percent runners, not anymore. I don't know if we had one today. We did have 1 or 2 yesterday, though.
SGBX, the penny stock, is up 135%, but I know we don't normally count that. I don't think.
Ed's asking for thoughts on a LiDAR bottom. Let's take a look. This one was making some good moves previously, and looks like they had some news today. Nothing today, though. They're going to participate in the JP Morgan Auto Conference. We talked about this yesterday, I think, or earlier this week, that that they're going to be presenting on August 13th at 2:05 Eastern.
And I think isn't it August 12th and 13th with the speaking spot on the 13th, just like you said there? Yeah.
one-on-one meetings, August 12th and 13th,
Yep.
but the company presentation's on the 13th.
Yep, bingo. We absolutely talked about that yesterday.
We sure did. So let's see where the chart can tell us here. We are coming down to the 500 and the 20 day SMAs. That's going to be at about the same area at 2. So it had the 20 at 217 and the 500 at 223. So kind of just meet in the middle there. Call it 220. I'd be looking at support there. And you know what? Let me see if this does anything for me here. I'm going to draw a quick little trend line. And that, so I'm drawing a trend line on the underside of the price action since the gap up here from July 24th to August 4th. Just a trend line on the underside here. I'm going to be using this trend line as a support, an additional support level. So we have the FIT 500 and the 20, and also this trend line here. So I'm just going to keep an eye on all this and see if we get that support around 220 as we continue to move down here. So I don't think we'll hit that today. Maybe later on this week, possibly next week. But for now, that's what I'd be looking at as 220 support and LIDR. Looks like we're going to get a pulse here in bull.
DraftKings reports earnings tomorrow after the market closes. DraftKings actually kind of looks like it's running into a resistance here about 45.5. Good stuff. Big B's on UNH.
RMSG continuing lower. So we are really starting to get some a big reversal here in the market. SQQQ really rising while the TQQQ starts to fall. They're still inside the ranges, where I would want to take a trade. So as soon as they get outside that range, that's when it's going to be time to maybe take a trade here. Still need to see some more movement away from their VWAPs, though. They're not extended enough. A-Lab,
go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish up.
I was going to say, A-Lab's getting the pull, MYGN down to the 65 EMA. A lot of market pulling here on the prices, folks, so just be careful.
AIMD here. This actually might be slowing. Tuna here mentioning that it's getting ready for a pop. Still held that 333. Izzy, did you reload this? Pull on everything. I'm buying Amazon if it goes red. Okay, Izzy, appreciate that. So Amazon's up by $1.28. So it looks like you're looking for 213 and change, maybe 213 and 3/4 there. AIMD, what's the trigger here, Tuna? 245. That entry was what? 335.
Seems like it's kind of basing right now. So I think he could be onto something here. We need to see some recapturing of these EMAs, but he could be onto something. It does look like it's basing or trying to.
Holds right down there. That was actually a good hold right there. We need some more volume, don't we, Tuna? Need some more volume to pop this thing?
Could get it. I think we just got to wait a little bit.
I think it's really got to hold this 330 here. 333 is what we talked about. 330 probably the stop point.
Let's.
And while we're waiting for this to set up, sorry, 13. While we're waiting for this one to set up here, keep an eye on it. To put the stop out there if you want to move away from it. You guys are mentioning Figma here. Let's take a quick look at what that's doing. Okay, Figma here actually having a bounce back day.
You were mentioning stops. I was going to say that's be a great time to start adjusting those, just in case the market continues to pull again.
Bingo.
Don't give up the gains you've made.
I'd be more inclined to feel exactly as Tuna does if this thing really started to show some buying volume, if it did it in a hurry. Otherwise, I think we might lose this 330 here. Good morning, Jay. Good to see you.
You guys starting to get some sellers really loading into positions at 340 and 345. So this really does set up for the buyers to come in and take those out if they come in large enough numbers. So we do need to see that buying volume come in. And if we get enough to take it over 345, it could be a large move over 345.
And I am seeing some buying interest right down here at this level. We'll see.
Look like RMSG is trying to turn around. We'll see if that ends up materializing. Same thing with A-Lab, getting some support from the 15 EMA and around VWAP. But I still think this may end up coming in some more. It just kind of looks that way with the chart formation and with MACD starting to curl, and we're still pretty elevated here on the RSI at the lab. So wouldn't be surprising if we see this come in some more.
I think that we had a lot of Palantir options go off here. I think this is a closing trade. These were multiple sweeps, 180 and 195. That actually might be part of a spread. 1.2 thousand contracts in each of those sweeps there on Palantir. Might be some profit taking right there.
Yeah, folks mentioning that Upstart getting hammered down 13.5% after that.
That was a nasty reversal on Upstart. That was actually higher earlier today.
Yeah, loss of the 20-day SMA that it's been riding up since the beginning of June. So not a good day for that one.
AIMD still not giving up here. Volume is not giving us what we want, but it will not break down through that 330. We talked about 333 entry here. 340, 345, your two pop spots.
Yep, just gotta wait for some of these.
Market trying to bounce off the intraday low here that it made right around the open.
That's a good point. It's almost that 10:30 time. Got a minute left, and then we are going to see volume start to leave. Looks like Lemonade coming back up to its VWAP. But great point by Lion. This is where we're going to start to see a lot of that volume start to leave the market.
Upstart here, the CEO is on CNBC right now discussing the consumer.
Here we go with RMSG trying to make another dash for that VWAP, getting a lift from some buyers at 280. It was only October. We were waiting for Palantir to get to 45. So true. Everybody's impressed with Palantir. And it's still, I mean, let me look at this again because it looked like it was starting to get a little weak. But nope, we're back up over 71 again. I'm looking for 180, where it might do one up there. Yes, Shady. Bull eventually, I believe, is going to go to, well, I think once we get that break of 18, we'll see 20. But I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take to get over 18. I don't think it's going to take too long. It's been pretty faithful to mirroring the price action on the way down before basing around 10. It's been almost doing exact same price action on the way back up. So if that continues, looking for a move over 16, that takes us up to 18 and then eventually 20.
Welcome, Don Joey. Hopefully you enjoy your time here. Great to have you. Smoke Tuna says, Palantir, I sold too early on a 200% gain from 7. I sold at 21. I mean, look, that's still a pretty good trade. And here we go. Here we go on AIMD. Oh, please give us a pop above 350 here. 340 and 345 are cleared. Here comes 350. There's some size there. I would trim. And trimmed. Bang. Now we go here. VWAP 360. I would raise your stop here. 345. 340 if you want to be a little bit more conservative there. Oh, give us 360 here. Tuna, Izzy.
Got another seller in the way at 355. Take him out. You got your 360. And
yeah, I think so too. 13.
Oh, don't. Hey guys, look. Sometimes we're going to sell some of these things earlier, and they continue to run. But look. If you made money in this, I don't see any reason to get upset about something that continues to run. All you got to do is just make sure you keep a journal so you can study where you decided to get out, where you could have stayed in, what you did wrong, what you did right, and maybe the next time you'll have a much better time trading something that looks like it's about to go on a run. I don't think it serves anybody any good to be upset about missing out on a stock that's run, especially if you've made a successful trade that got you money. But I think the only thing that I would be doing if that happened to me again is just look where I went wrong, keep a journal, and the next time we get into something like this where we see another stock run like that, we'll be better prepared for more upside. Absolutely.
All right, stopped out remainder there. AIMD. That wasn't terrible though. Tuna, really crispy call there. There you go, Izzy. There's one scalp booked for the day. Hopefully we don't give it back there. That wasn't a whole lot. Might actually still go here. Here we go. Watch 350 there. Still think 350 is your spot here on AIMD. Remember, load zone was 333, 340, 345, two of your triggers there. We took both of those, but we're really struggling to get past 350 now and then 360 after that. You're 2 for 2. Izzy? Let's fucking go, Izzy.
RMSG recapturing its VWAP.
And Izzy, Amazon up near the highs here too. This is actually looks like that 215, 216 area on Amazon.
Someone buying Tesla.
Tesla's actually has a pretty good intraday formation here. We talked about the impulse move. Haven't really talked about it since, but it sure looks like this is flagging intraday for a move higher here. What do you think, 13? 316 and a half?
It's got to get past that 20-day SMA. That's going to be the first order of business.
Here it goes.
At 317.36. So,
Lambo rolls. I want to say I'm a long-time listener watcher from over on X and recently switched to YouTube so I could comment.
Nice.
I really appreciate you guys. You do great work. We appreciate you. And I really appreciate you sharing with us that you started on X and moved over to YouTube. If you want to comment, that means that you want to be active in our community, and that tells me that we're doing something right that's larger than just us. By the way, AIMD, am I going to be piked and out of this too early? 350 right there. Got 360 next on AIMD. Lion, I have no illusions about AIMD and AEM being different in different, not even zip codes, really different universes in terms of the quality of the stock. You're not going to get an argument from me there. AIMD, this is actually still looking all right here. Tesla now going for that break of the high. Boy, that flag break here, we looked at that at the right time. Wish I took that. I'd be 2 for 2 also, Izzy, if I took that. Damn.
Oh, so
Thank Tuna for me, Ryan. You got it, Izzy.
Tesla, the high 317.27, the 20-day SMA 317.39. So pretty close to that moving average. That's still the moving average I'm watching. That's going to be the resistance until we capture it. And still looks like RMSG is trying to make a move over a VWAP, which would also be a move over 3.
Intraday bull flag here, NVAX. By the way, AIMD, it's coming up to that 360. Tuna, let's go, dude. Let's go, Tuna. Big time shout out.
Break over the VWAP would put it back into the consolidation from earlier this morning in the regular session. We were trying to push up to 550. If there's still people trapped in there, which I'm not sure there's a whole lot, but if there are, then we're going to have some resistance at about 380. But I could also see a scenario where we push right up to the trend line again. You might want to extend that out, because I think we're going to see that.
Yeah, you're right about that. No, you're 100% right about that. And here I am getting lazy because I'm not in it anymore. Oh man, hey, at least we got that booked here. This is actually looking pretty good. And a fight now right at the VWAP here. My broker has the VWAP listed at 359, but I still think 360 is one of those key spots. Mang Thang says, I moved here from X2. You guys are very helpful and informative. That's awesome. Again, that just really is proof of concept of the larger thing that we're doing here of trying to develop a community where people can come to trade and share ideas. I love that. I love that. Quantum, we love you.
I love it that you guys want to make better traders of yourselves. That's
you know what's
being here.
You know what though, dude? They make better traders of me. That's how good the community. It doesn't even have to be one way. I am better because you folks join here every day and contribute.
What sarcasm, James?
No question.
I'm being serious. Yeah. I'm serious. I do want people to be better traders. Seriously. Because otherwise we're just trading against computers.
Thank you, Tess. 13 and I have very close numbers. I have 317.36 on my trigger finger for Tesla.
All right. Humana and UNA tripping back up, says Joseph Schmo. Yeah, see, that's Smoke Tuna. Thank you for pointing this out, because I think sometimes less is more. I totally
think that, dude. I totally agree with you.
I do use some of the things that you're mentioning, but it's not a whole lot more beyond that. I mean, I'm looking at my RSI, my MACD, the EMAs that I have, the VWAP, my price ladder and time and sales, and that's pretty much it.
Anne-Marie says we can all learn from each other. If there's a pro that's been doing this for a while and she's saying that, then you know we're on the right track. We're over the target there. No, no, ain't nobody the dark side. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted to shout that out, is because it was our video team behind the scenes that said, we should stream to all of these platforms, even if we get no views. AIMDs keep going. Izzy, I'm with you on this. Was out too early. At least it worked. Let me ask you, if you're still in this, what's the next spot here? Is it this trend line, this 380 trend line? This is what you talked about earlier, right, 13?
Yes, for where if we get a break over VWAP, we could run up to that, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like we just got a peak above. Let's see if it can move above on volume. We are starting to get the volume to curl up a little bit here. That's great. That's great news.
Man, I want to say, it looks like this is about to do it. And then, there's I look at the volume and it's just not great. So I kind of have to hold my tongue on this. But I was looking at IPDN. It's been getting some support from the 65 and 200 EMAs, but volume's not great in this thing. I need to see some better volume in this. It's going to be the case with a lot of these. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looks like Tesla's trigger got peaked above here on Tesla. 317.36 was that, right?
Yep.
317.36. Now we're above. Here we go on Tesla. Tess gave it to you early.
Well done, Tess. And MYGN.
And AIMD continues to work. Tuna's just crushing it. Ondis might be curling back up to the highs.
At VWAP,
Market is curling a little. Which one? 13? Sorry, man.
I was just talking about AIM. It's now it's moving over its VWAP. Next area of resistance where there's some sellers is 380. Looks like we're getting a big turnaround on a lot of names here. Not RMSG. That looks like this is about to go lower after rejection at VWAP. Izzy told you, Ryan. 370. Boom.
No, he had no lies detected, frankly. Izzy on that one from this morning. I love how early it was. Izzy also gave us Amazon on a pull, but we never got it.
AIMD continuing over VWAP now. The last candle closed above it, and we are now printing higher. Still looking for some big moves to take us up to that trend line again. That would be fantastic. Not guaranteeing it, but just saying it'd be great.
Lion, take care of yourself, man. Have a great rest of your day here. Market does look like it's going to try and push higher here through SPY. Tesla looking pretty good still.
Live Person had the best news among the pre-market movers, but it just seems like it's not giving up yet. Let me go back to this is one of the ones we're still kind of trading here. It's been sideways for a good portion of the morning, and there's a lot of sellers in the way at from 128 to 130. Right about where VWAP is. So, but here's here's the thing. I think we were pointing this out earlier with Live Person and how they were their financials didn't look the greatest. I believe that was what I was pointing out about this. Let me just double check and see if I'm correct about that.
Thinking about it also pointed out that they don't have a live person.
So this company,
so let's not forget
this company still isn't profitable, and I think one of the problems I pointed out with this is that their revenue growth is declining. Yes, so they with the guidance for second quarter 2024 indicating a drop of 20% year over year. That's falling short of revenue, Alex. So that might have been from a while ago, but it's still you're still seeing a decline in revenue if you look at the income statements. So I think that was one of the things that I flagged, and probably one of the reasons why we're not seeing a good amount of movement today. Also, there may have been some insider selling. Let me double check that as well.
While you're double checking that here, let me just handle this. Humberto Garcia, if Visa drops more, I'll be paying my credit card late. Well, that would be bullish for Visa, would it not? Because you'd be paying interest and thus helping their bottom line. Just saying. Also, though, worth noting here with Visa, 334.5. This is your 200-day. Look what happened to Visa the last time we went to the 200-day. Now, I know this was the Liberation Day area that brought us down here, but boy, oh boy, this thing went on a huge run the last time it tested this. Actually, the last 2 times it tested this. So a pretty interesting spot here if V can hold 334.5.
Yeah, well, I've never seen any insider buying out of this. It just you get grants, and then they sell those shares. You get paid. I guess it's compensation, and then they just sell them. So this is in a constant state of dilution if they continue with that. I agree that the news was pretty good, but it's already got a partnership with Google Cloud. This is just expanding it. So I don't know that it necessarily could translate into better movement for the stock. I guess I kind of talked myself out of this one, but it's not looking like the news was super substantial. But
It looked punchy for PR, but it didn't look like it had much follow through. I would say that. Really quickly here, Izzy mentioning Costco. So this is interesting because the last time we talked about Costco, a potential swing long opportunity was going to be on a very quick recapture of the 200-day. We broke through the 200-day on July 16th. Then we tried to recapture it on July 18th. This would have been great for a potential swing long. We didn't have the strength though. Now, however, had a little bit of malaise here. We've recently recaptured the 20-day. Actually, we've been flirting with that the last 3 sessions, but we're up over that healthily today. And we have the 200-day set in our sights there, 968.86. I'd love to see a close or 2 above this. Possible move higher here on Costco if we get that, Izzy. Let me know, Izzy, would you scalp this or swing this? What would you like to do here if we're able to get above, let's call it 969 and hold there? What would you do? Because I'm thinking calls, all right? But I don't know. I'm kind of worried with the August choppiness and the September. I don't know. I'm thinking calls, but I don't feel great about it. Izzy, let me know. Let me know how you'd approach Costco.
I'm not convinced with Costco yet.
Okay.
Maybe if it gets back above the 200 and the 50 EMAs. I'm sorry, SMAs.
Okay.
But
well, I'll tell you what, 13, if you're waiting for the 50 EMA too, you're probably going to get multiple closes above that 200 in order to get that.
I'm sorry,
50.
I meant the SMAs on the daily. I'm sorry. So we're kind of in a parallel channel, and we've come up to the midpoint of that channel. I think if we can get past 960 and hold above that, then I think that the thought here is pretty solid. But I got some real concerns about this 960 to 975 area.
Do you like the V trade that we just discussed here? If this is able to hold or quickly recapture the 200?
Let's look at V. Oh gosh,
got it on screen.
This looks like it's going to have to hold here in reverse. And I think that you're right. If we do get a reversal, this is going to probably trade pretty well, but this chart doesn't look great to me. This looks like we're going to lose the 200-day SMA and go down to 320. We'll see if that ends up happening.
Here's 320 for reference.
And 320, I mean, from we broke out of that level earlier this year in January. So yeah, I think I'd be keeping an eye on what happens over the next few days with this 200-day SMA in Visa.
Meng Thang asking here if the SPY 700 call for December, is it too risky? You're the only one that can determine risk, brother. You got to look at your own risk tolerance and the ability to take pain and what your max drawdown was. What I will say for your trade idea, though, stick around and show up tomorrow, because when we have Markets and Mayhem on, I'm sure we'll take a look at some of those call walls and see if we've jumped any of them and have moved higher. If so, we might be able to put that 7,000 target on there, or 700 if you're talking about SPY. We can take a look at that tomorrow. I'm almost certain we'll take a look at those gamma charts.
Yeah, one thing I think I would mention when it comes to the $700 call for December of this year, we're in the seasonality. We're anticipating some choppiness, and we're also anticipating some pretty significant downside in September, just based on seasonality. You may have less risk trying to do something like that in those months than you would now, because we're still pretty elevated in the market right now, and I feel like those kinds of calls would be pretty pricey. So I think maybe I personally would just kind of wait and see what happens over the next month or two.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why, despite raising a lot of cash yesterday and being over 50% cash in the port now, I'm not trying. I mean, these scalps today are one thing, but I'm not trying to really dive into some new long swings. I want to see how August trades here, and I want to be as tactical as possible. I really want to be patient. Also, and I think I've kind of mentioned this, but just as a reminder, next week I won't be here Thursday and Friday. We're going to have 13 and Kevin filling in, and then the following week I won't be here on Friday. So I've got two small little vacations coming up at the end of the week, and in both instances I will have limited access to my trading portfolio. So I don't want to have too much exposure on the line.
We're going to miss you.
If I get a call for 13 that's like, yo, bro, you better get off the golf course because the market's doing something crazy here, then maybe I'll do that. But otherwise, I don't want to be checking my phone all the time.
We'll hold it down. We'll miss you.
Okay. 13, we have an all access coming up here today. So why don't we go with some closing words for the group?
Folks, what a fantastic day we've been having today. Smoke Tuna with his calls. We've got a lot of movers that provided some great trades. Bull is making me happy. I mean, this is just a fantastic day. I hope you all had a fantastic day. Come back here tomorrow. We'll try to have another fantastic one. We'll find the movers. We'll trade them. We'll make some money. We'll have a great time. Take care, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Do or do not 13. There is no try. We absolutely will have a good day tomorrow. That's 13, really good stuff here today. 13's departure leaves room for the new offensive coordinator in waiting for the Lions for when this new one gets fired. Let's talk to Dan Leach. Dan, what's the what over under Thanksgiving you take over the job?
First off, you got to do the Yoda voice in the Yoda voice. Do or do not. There is no try.
I don't do a Yoda voice. I've got a reputation.
I've got the great reputation. So listen, over under Thanksgiving turkeys eaten or point spread?
No, over under you take over the Lions offensive coordinator job when the new guy they hired.
My guy at Morton was there a few years ago. He's beloved by the players. I know. Listen, Benz Johnson is amazing. He's going to suck with your Bears, by the way, because the Bears just suck. But no, he's going to do a great job. It's going to take some years, though. I like Caleb Williams. But Morton's is going to be great. And listen, the Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, a great offensive line that's a little weaker than it was. I'm not that worried. If they can play offense the way, and Jared Goff's taking a more ownership role out of, during training camp this year, the Lions are the 5th favorite to win the Super Bowl, as they should be. So, yeah, you hate to lose a guy, especially in your own division, that's this hot coaching candidate. But good teams find a way to replace guys. That's what the Steelers have done for years. The Ravens have done for years. The Chiefs and other teams, San Francisco. You got to find a way to do it. I believe they can.
I'm going to say Dan's on the sideline there before Thanksgiving. Dan, what do you got coming up here on All Access?
Kevin Kelly and Ed Burns from Cy Carrion. Very excited to talk with them. And we are going to be talking with Kevin Kelly, the CEO, and Ed Burns, SLG Innovation President of Cy Carrion. Their NASDAQ ticker is CYCU. They are joining me for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome in CEO Kevin Kelly and Ed Burns, the SLG Innovation President of Cy Carrion. Fantastic to be with you both today.
Great to see you, Dan. At some point, I loved your last segment. We should talk about all the hacking that takes place in the sports arena. Different teams stealing plays, ideas, concepts. That'd be a great subject for next time, but it's great to be here with you.
Hey, it's great to be here with you. Listen, with all the competitive edges these years, teams are resorting to some crazy stuff. But let's start with this. Kevin, I want to start with you. Cy Carrion, I know, has been in the cybersecurity industry for years. Speaking of stealing secrets, protecting government agencies, Fortune 500, and healthcare companies from hackers. Kevin, what sets the company apart from rivals? I know there are some, but I know you guys do some great stuff.
Yeah, thanks. I think what really sets us apart is AI is just thrown out all over the place today. We were one of the early adopters of AI. We acquired a company called ARX in 2019, an Israeli group, very good in the cybersecurity arena. But what gives us a distinct advantage is most companies have web application firewalls, but our platform, which is AI driven, can pinpoint exactly where in an organization the breach is occurring. So if your finance function in London is being breached, we can pinpoint that area and do something about it immediately. And then it sends messages out to all of our other clients who are using that platform and tell them, look out for this type of attack.
Yeah, that is so important to have in today's day and age. And then we move over to you. And, I know Cycurion recently inked a deal with the National Association of County and City Health. Tell us about that partnership and what it means to your company's revenue.
Yeah, it's an outstanding partnership. Good morning.
Good morning.
NACHO stands for the National Association of County and City Health Officials. So it's a membership of over 3,000 government agencies. And cybersecurity is viewed as one of their largest threats. The CIOs throughout the country feel that way. Most of these members don't have the staff, expertise, or budget to respond to a very critical area. So NACHO selected Cycurion as their exclusive partner to provide cybersecurity services to their members. So we're rolling out our Cyber Shield Arts program nationally to the memberships. We're excited because we sat down and did a budget forecast with the association itself, and we're forecasting 19 million over the next 3 years. So we're really excited about that.
Those are fantastic numbers, my man. That's for sure. Kevin, let me go back to you. I know the company, speaking of numbers, I know the company recently secured about $69 million in contracts. Say that again, $69 million. Can you tell us about those? And do you expect to secure more contracts in the months to come?
So actually, I'll take that one, Dan. Let me take that.
Take it on. Full
yeah,
board.
I'll take it and run with it. So, hey, the first thing we want to say that the 69 million represents a really diversified customer base: commercial, healthcare, federal government, and state and local government. Also throughout the country, it's diverse geographies, different engagements, over 10 engagements where we're leveraging our Cyber Shield ARX platform and some of the other engagement areas that we support, like PMO and organizational change and training. So that consists of our NACHO wins, university systems. We just won a major, it was an announcement about that. Federal agencies, we're working with some of the bigger guys like FEMA and programs like that. We're working with a number of state governments, large state governments, rolling out new technology programs for them, county governments and city governments as well. So it's really a diversified portfolio of wins.
It definitely is. And I know on the finance, speaking of more good news, on the financial front for the first quarter, Cycurion posted really impressive gross profit that was up 95.4% year over year, and gross margins that were 17.4% higher. What do you guys attribute that to?
I think I attribute it to two things. Number one is really focusing on cutting our G&A. After we went public in February, I said, okay, we got to make sure that all our costs are aligned with the direction and strategy of the company. And two, traditionally, as we execute our strategy, we're moving more towards the product side of the equation. Historically, we've worked a lot in the federal and state government. So both the corporations and the product side bring higher margins. So we've really been focusing on pushing in that area, and we're continuing to do so. So we're excited about the growth we see there and the increased profit margins or expansion there.
By the way, if you don't mind, I want to jump into that pool. It looks really refreshing behind you right now. It's a perfect day for that. Ed, let me move back to you. I know this, kind of is a bit of a shift from the world of cybersecurity, but I know you recently launched a new unit, the Cycurion Crypto, which is tasked with acquiring Ethereum and Bitcoin. We know how hot that is right now. Tell us about that and how it will support the company's growth and capital strategy.
So
yeah, I
Dan,
mean,
you're-
I'll jump on that one. Yeah, I'll jump on that one. After the Genius Act was passed a few months ago, it's really a treasury play for us. Again, coming back to executing our strategy of 75% inorganic growth. So we're really in acquisition mode right now. So having a hard asset on our balance sheet and being able to leverage that to go out and acquire more companies, execute the growth that I just mentioned, create higher margins for the organization, drive our business not only internationally, but here domestically in the corporate arena. Just to touch upon what Ed said a few minutes ago, this is outstanding. I mean, just astonishing that at that conference, 3,500 people were there. Over 50% had been breached and had nothing, could do nothing about it. And the other 40% had paid anywhere from 100,000 to close to $1 million in ransomware. So that SME market is completely and utterly underserved, which provides a huge opportunity for Ed and myself to really go in there and capture market share.
For sure. Exciting times for you guys. And this is, as we know, a very prescient moment in history to be involved with what you guys are doing. So I can't thank you enough for your time. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you both. And thank you again both so much for your time.
No, thank you.
All right. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much, guys. That was the CEO, Kevin Kelly, and Ed Burns, the SLG Innovation President of Cycurion. Their NASDAQ ticker is CYCU. Now let's send it back to a man who's had no less than 4 Chicago streets named after him, the great Ryan Faluna. I believe one of them was Ryan Ticker Avenue in Faluna Court, right? There he is.
Okay, thanks.
Faluna
Thanks,
Court's
producer.
one of my favorite streets.
Yeah, Faluna Court's good. It's not bad, but there's Ryan Boulevard. That's where the really nice houses are. We haven't shown you that one yet. We'll do that next.
All right, and then we'll get some boulevards going on too. Maybe Broadway, NYSC Boulevard.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll probably stick with Ryan Boulevard. Anyway, Dan, really good stuff here on the All Access. Take care, man. I can't wait to see you calling plays for the Lions. That is Dan Leach, folks. We'll see how football season treats him today. Now it's time for story trading. Let's check in with these guys and see how they're doing. Let's bring on Ben and the Godfather. I don't see Rhett.
Rhett will not be joining us today. He had a personal conflict. How you doing, Ryan?
Okay. Hope he's doing okay. We're doing actually really good. We're doing really good. I had a couple of scalps here today for some lunch money, but boy, oh boy, were you trading any drone names yesterday? That little drone conference.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. I can't wait to hear about it from you. All right. What do you got for us today, Ben?
So much news this morning, man. I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was just like writing nonstop for like hours because it's just a constant flow of catalysts. Some really good catalysts this morning. You know, market's a little bit tough, but there are some really big outperformers today based on some good catalysts. So we'll go for that and talk about some ideas here in the next day or so.
All right, I got to be honest. It sounds like you woke up at 5 a.m. You sound a little bit tired, and your microphone might be having a tough time picking it up. But I'll get out of your hair here. Kill it today, guys.
All right, Godfather, welcome back. I haven't talked to you in a while. Godfather knows. This will be our first conversation, so definitely in a while because we missed the last 2 Monday night shows, Monday afternoon shows over at Wolf Spaces. But looking forward to discussing with you and getting some of your macro feedback. Oh my gosh, I don't want to spend too much time on the macro because there's just a ton of catalysts this morning. I will say this, I just do want to acknowledge right away AMD, which has been a big winner in our community over the last several weeks. It didn't work out for earnings, and I got to say I managed the risk pretty good going to the earnings report. I sold most of my shares before the ER, but I still got hit with my remaining shares, and I also had some call options, got hit with that. Despite that, in the last 2 days, at one point I had over a 40% position in AMD in my trading account. Yet in the last 2 days, as AMD has come from 177 to 159, I'm just about flat in the last 2 days. Probably should have done much better because my early morning picks have been insane. But anyway, just wanted to acknowledge that up front, and I'm all out of AMD at this point. Godfather, I'll give my quick take on the macro, then I'll let you chime in on that. Then we'll dive into specific stocks.
Sure.
It's tricky up here, man. I gotta say, I handled it pretty well. My account's up nicely since July 31st, which has been very hard, right? You had this bearish engulfing after positive Meta and Microsoft earnings, which was a bad thing to have a bearish engulfing down on good news right before potential August 1st seasonality. And lo and behold, there came that August 1st pullback. But I think this was primarily catalyzed by those surprise tariff rate increases, which happened Thursday night. We were all over that. I shorted the market with authority Thursday afternoon and Thursday night, which helped keep us flat on Friday, despite that big down day. And then yesterday, it looked like, hey, all is well. We're right back above the 20 DMA on that weak job. To me, I think the reason was the weak jobs data and the revisions on Friday. It's been very strong for TLT. You've seen TLT gapping up here on that jobs Friday morning, and it's continuing to go up. A little pullback today, but this is basically representative of expectations that we're going to get those lower interest rates, which, is supposed to be a good thing. But I guess, there's been some bad, besides the jobs, we had weak ISM. So it's like bad economic data, August seasonality, maybe valuations are stretched in some places, but then maybe, try to offset that with lower rates coming. And I guess it's just leading to chop and uncertainty. And this, are we above the 20 DMA or below the 20 DMA here on QQQ? Most of this move in QQQ, I think, is probably attributed to Apple, with some news on Apple up like 4.5% or so. The breadth is pretty poor right now. But I got to say, our ability to find alpha on a daily basis, especially early in the morning, late at night on Catalyst, is just freaking incredible. And I'll get to some of those picks, which worked out to the penny. Again, they happen every day. But that's my macro analysis, Godfather. I will just close it up with this, that even with this uncertainty we're seeing here, I think any dip we get, any big pullback we get in August, I really believe can be a generational buying opportunity in the right stocks, in the AI, the right places in AI. And I also think that throughout the month of August, you can stock pick. We're seeing that through this whole volatility since Thursday. There's tons of stocks that have been reacting predictably to really good earnings. So it's possible to outperform and find that individual alpha. And I'm not going to quit doing that through this possible seasonal pullback in August. Godfather, turn it over to you for your macro analysis.
Yeah, look, I think everybody's focused on this sort of 21 or 20 day moving average on the Qs and on the SPY. Clearly we broke the 9. And we're
exact chart in both, yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at it while you were talking to see if we were above or below, and we're slightly above. And again, I think you're right. That's mostly Apple, but I think you want to look past that to sort of the leading sectors. And of course, the leading sector in the market has been semis. And I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, I looked at the SOXL, which is the 3X SMH, and we spiked down intraday and just touched the 50-day. Today, with the AMD waiting, we're through the 50-day on the SMH. So, does that foretell move in the Qs and the SPY through 21, into the 50-day, which I think, as you know, I don't really focus that much on the technicals, but I know these are the key levels that everybody watches. This would sort of coincide with another 3 to 5% pullback. So, yeah, my sense is it's kind of a magnet at this point. We're starting to see it in the semis now. I wouldn't be surprised to see in the other names.
I'm sorry. You think that we have a magnet to the 50-day moving average?
Yeah.
SPY? Yeah.
Yeah, sometime in this August, September.
Well, look, I think a lot of people probably thought that was coming Friday afternoon when you gapped down below that 20. I think a lot of people were caught off guard Monday, and that's why you saw that big day. Very interesting, this SOXL chart. Usually I don't do technical analysis on levered ETFs because of the way they work. Like the past prices, they're not like good reference points in terms of where people bought and sold, in terms of resistance and support, just because of how the levered works. But this is an interesting chart. Despite that, it's actually been kind of adhering to major moving averages. So kind of surprised to see that. So very interesting there on SOXL.
Look, I think that the takeaway from earnings so far is that they've been good, but the bar has been extremely low. stocks across the board have had a hard time holding their gains, and I think that's been more prevalent in the smaller cap names. Sure, there's been some outstanding reports, but when you get a drinking from a fire hose type earnings season like we've had in the last couple of days, I think there were some 150 telecom media and tech names reporting. Yes, there are the ANETs and the A Labs and Shopify again this morning. But for the most part, all of these gains have been faded, and that suggests that we are, at these levels where positioning shows that we're stretched. Valuations are, for the most part, stretched. The market needs to and wants to rest in here.
Yeah.
I think the bigger picture, though, is that if you look at the earnings estimates going out beyond the second quarter, they start to firm again in Q3 and again in Q4, and then really pick up steam in the first quarter and second quarter of 26 in the market's forward-looking mechanism. So, you're talking about double-digit type earnings, and I'm just looking at the bottom up now estimates from the big shops that track these, and we're talking about 13 to 14% earnings growth. So, in theory, there's not a lot of multiple expansion needed to post double-digit returns in the indices over the next 12 months. And I think that that kind of an environment paired with what we expect in the second half of the year in terms of further downward interest rates, as well as sort of regulatory tailwinds for banks, etc. I think it's going to be a great environment. The one thing that I really am focused on here, and we saw it in an exaggerated way, to your point, when the market sold off on the non-farm payrolls numbers and the weak ISM, we immediately saw this reaction, right? Fed fund futures went straight from under 60 to about 90% odds of a September rate cut. And they've been doing this every year. I mean, I've been in the one and done or none and done camp all year. But every time the market sees something on the weak side, be it in payrolls, I guess it's really focused there because inflation looks like it's headed higher to me. But you see this huge reaction. Look at NAIL, the 3X ETF for the home builders. This thing went up 20% from Thursday to yesterday, flirting with this key 70 level. It was above that on open this morning. We faded below it again, but here's a group that, in terms of where do we go next in this market? Everybody's all over the semi trade and the AI trade, and I think that's a very crowded trade. Where can we see alpha in this market in the second half of the year? And I think this administration, once they're done focusing on trade imbalance and tariffs and all the rest of it, they're going to get back to one of their key priorities on the election, which was housing affordability and dealing with the structural imbalance. So if you've got this downward trajectory in interest rates, and then you've got an administration that's focused on things to boost housing, like eliminating capital gains on primary residence sales. We just heard Trump talk about that last week. That was voiced recently. Mortgage rate interest deductions, tax credits on mortgage insurance, expanded tax breaks for first-time home buyers, unlocking federal land for home building, low-income tax credits, neighborhood homes tax credit, which incentivizes buildings and rehabilitating homes in low-income areas. All of these kind of things, in addition to the actual incentives to the home builders, were all part of the election promises. And I just look at this group, and they've been performing well from an efficiency and cost standpoint. The ROICs, for the most part, which is a key indicator of where multiples should be, are in the high teens, and ROEs are in the low 20s. And yet this is a group that trades at under 14 times on a PE basis. So it's not demanding, it's not crowded, with the exception of my bullishness on the financials in the second half of the year because of what I think is going to happen to the yield curve. I think that this is an area that deserves some attention. So I'll be focusing some more attention, on it. I think the way to play it, frankly, is through these ETFs. So that I thought was interesting over the last couple of days. Everyone gets distracted by, earnings season and individual company reports, but there's some bigger things going on.
Absolutely. All right. Let's dig into some of that, though, those individual reports. That's, man, I spent hours doing that this morning. There were some great earnings reports here last night and this morning. Tableau, I'll get into that. I'm in this trade, hasn't worked out yet, but OppFi was freaking amazing for a community. We got into this in pre-market about $10.70 was when I called it. I saw a lot of people in our community were buying it up through 11. I gave it a $12.60 target. Believe it or not, $12.60.
That was amazing.
It's easy where I got it from. It was the 50 DMA, 1260. But the forecast. Thank you, Godfather. The analysis, the prediction was really about, hey, I think we're going to break that 20 DMA and pass all these candle resistances and make it to the 50 DMA. That was the prediction, and yeah, it was amazing. It's helped my account today. I did get back in a little reload here at 1092. That's not working. Maybe I'll just bail on that. I should walk away from that.
Yeah, this is a good example of what I was talking about, where stocks are having real difficulty holding their gains. And I guess it's part of a slower summer market. But people are, and I think rightly so, taking a breather from putting risk at or putting money at risk.
That being said, here's another one from this morning, Gilat, G-I-L-T. This one I've been following. I mean, the news flow has been incredible on this space satellite company out of Israel. I don't know a lot about it, except that their press releases just keep coming. 20 million contract, 50 million contract, 40 million contract with a market cap of 500 million. I mean, it looks like crazy. And finally, that seemed to have read through on the ER today, beating on the top and bottom line. And you can see this. So we got into this at pre-market. I got into it at 790. Sold on that morning spike. Unfortunately, I didn't get back in on the dip. Like you said, in this market, it's hard to know, which one of these will race again after the dip and which will just keep dropping like OppFi is. A little bit hard to know that. But right now, people like Gilat, and it's at 52-week high. So another one from the early morning alerts that's working out. A bunch of other ERs which were standouts.
Just before you leave that one, there's a name that this makes me think of, and you highlighted it as well. In addition to Gilat coming out with these contract wins almost on a weekly basis, Joby, same thing, right? It's news after news after news.
Unbelievable! I've never seen anything like it.
And I
have earnings tonight, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned it because there's earnings tonight. So do we see this start to show up in the earnings?
It's too early, isn't it?
I mean,
how much are they getting paid for all these collaborations and pilot programs and stuff like that?
Right. But this is a story that's about the guidance, right? So to the extent that they have all of these things and they can sort of roll it into a bigger picture,
right,
for the market in terms of telegraphing where 2026 will be. The stock's gone from 1050 to 1880. I wouldn't buy it ahead of the earnings.
Yeah.
Result. This is a huge move. But the thing we've been doing, and I think it's been a great counsel to the community, an environment like this, when the markets are at close to highs going into earnings, it's better to react than predict. If you're going to be trading these
earnings, always better to react than predict. You got to be fast sometimes though, and grab it in extended hours. But Joby, I added this to my retirement account. Unfortunately, not in big size, but I added it at 1363. It must have been back on July 15th that I added it. Yeah, it must have been July 15th, late in the day. Haven't sold it yet, but man, I wish I had a bigger position. It's not, hugely material to my retirement account, but it's nice, up 38%. But I missed it. I missed this whole move in the trade account. Unfortunately, Godfather knows. Oh well.
So did I.
I've been avoiding these high.
These pre-revenue, pre-earnings companies are.
That's correct. I've been avoiding them in the trade account, but I figured I was okay taking a long-term position in my retirement account. All right, real quick, back to some of these earnings reports, which were standouts. So we had. Also, Geo has a conference call going on right now, and I wish I could listen to it, but I can't. But anyway, Geo, I think, is very undervalued. Their guidance, they're doing big share buybacks. Their guidance does not include contract wins from ICE that they may get in the second half of the year. A little bit of a disappointment here in that last quarter, they had guided that they would start getting some big ICE contracts in Q2. Now they're saying Q3 and Q4, and some of this budget that has to be allocated has not been allocated yet. And I'm just reading it from real time. It's happening right now. They're saying, that budget, they're expecting it to be allocated in mid to late August. And then they're looking at getting some hopefully big contracts in Q3 and Q4. So interesting here, if you look at the numbers, it's probably fairly valued without any new additional huge contract. So anyway, I'm not in this, but it's something I have my eye on from this morning, up 3%. Porsche, a company I don't know well, but it's now 2 consecutive quarters of earnings beats, and you can see that's up 18%. Zeta, I never heard of that at all until last night. So I got to look into this company, up 26%. LEU, energy company. I don't really trade energy companies, so I've missed out on this big move. Also big, be 18%. Shopify, I haven't looked into why it's up 20%. Looked like a modest beat, but there must have been something in the guidance people really like. So there's a lot of standouts here, a lot of opportunities to get in and make some alpha, even in a tough market. And aside from all those earnings reports, you ready to discuss this one, Godfather knows? BTBT is my largest position. Okay, BTBT is my largest position. Jay Rice has a question about GSRT. We'll try to get to it. And we can have, look, I was spot on Monday morning making this a topic of the day. I said, this is the day we start taking off. Why? Because the Wi-Fi IPO is tomorrow and same week. And I thought that's imminent enough that traders will finally get in, right? Like last week, I was just watching and waiting. I doubled my position first thing Monday morning. So that's really helped, make up for some losses in AMD and others. But I got a very specific, I don't know if you've seen my morning notes this week, Godfather, have you? But in the trade ideas, I was giving very, very granular predictions of the price action for BTBT. And I don't know if I want to reveal all of it here because I'm so often right on things like that. But I think there's maybe much more to go between right now and maybe 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Next 24 hours, it could get violent. What do you think about that?
Well, look, there really aren't a lot of great pure play data center public company options, and so to the extent that everyone, I think, believes that CoreWeave is overvalued, and NBIS has also had a great run. This thing could, just from scarcity premium alone, trade well above its IPO price, which is a range of 15 to 17. They've already sort of increased their expected raise from 100 to 125. If this thing trades at a 2 handle, you're implying about $4 in value for BTBT.
So this is just so people are clear. It's a carve out. It's like an IPO spinoff. BTBT is going to owns what 80% or 76% after the spinoff.
I believe it's 80%.
80%, maybe. I think if they have an option to sell more shares, I don't know. I saw something that might be a little.
Yeah, they might. Yes, I think you're right about that.
So in any case, roughly 80% they're going to own. So there's going to be another publicly traded company trading, WYFI, starting tomorrow. Currently priced at $15 to $17. And Godfather here suggesting that if that trades to $20 tomorrow, then the fair value of BTBT would be $4, right?
Close to $4. And again, that assumes no premium to their ETH holdings, which total
and
around
also ETH,
current price is some 430 million. And then they've got their additional cash, and they've got some legacy Bitcoin mining assets that they continue to liquidate and monetize. So I think that it's one of these situations where I'm not sure exactly where the upside is going to be, but I really do not see any downside.
Are they still doing Bitcoin mining, or they're just winding that down, going to treasury? Yeah,
on a small scale.
On a small scale, but then they sell the Bitcoin and buy ETH. Is that what they're doing?
So they're monetizing those assets, the Bitcoin mining assets, and the focus is on the ETH treasury. To the extent that they get into that premium position again, to the ETH holdings, like a lot of these names, they'll raise more money and buy more.
Something bad must have just been said right now on the conference call. I have the live transcript going right in front of my screen and my phone. I don't know exactly what was said, but apparently they must have said something people don't like there. I'll have to check into that later.
One of the other names to the opposite of what we were talking about in terms of these rich setups going in.
Wait, hold on. Before you go to another name,
Yeah.
I just want to say that I've double, triple checked and quadruple verified everything you've been talking about in terms of BTBT with AI, with the help of Grok and ChatGPT. I've done a whole bunch of evaluation analyses on using some of the parts analysis. And this thing is, I just love the risk. You're right about this, right? This thing could trade with at a 4 handle this week. It's really, really cheap. So, in any case, great job bringing that to our attention. Okay, next one.
Yeah, we were talking about Joby and how this thing's gone from 10 to 18 plus, on the heels of various contract wins and strategic alliances, etc. But you're going into earnings, and it's a pretty rich setup. One of the names that is the opposite is Cypher, and I'm just looking at the reaction that we saw out of Iron. Yes, they had some good results from the Bitcoin mining, but this, like a number of the other Bitcoin miners, is really a data center and focus on HPC compute conversion company. And they talked about their 50 megawatt Horizon 1 liquid cooled data center that'll come on in the Q4, and then their 2 gigawatt Lone Star, Texas facility, which is further out the pipe. The name that is the closest comp is Cypher, and they report tomorrow morning before open. So
tomorrow morning before open.
And you'll remember
I think I put that on my morning note. Let me add it here.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Wait, while I add that, go ahead.
Look, this thing traded around $6.80 to $7.
Oh, it is, and I even had it underlined. Great.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
You're more on top of it than you thought. Yeah, so there were rumors in the market that they were close to announcing a deal with Meta for one of their data centers, and the stock was around 6.80 to 7, and here we are around 5. It's a big move in the last 10 trading sessions or so. So I think there's a pretty high probability we see a similar move to what we saw in Iron today, which is despite giving back some of its gains, still up almost 8%.
There are some really interesting all week. There's been some interesting earnings reports, but between today after the close and tomorrow morning, I think we might have to have a session for Discord at like 2 p.m. or something, where we go through all of these and see if it's worth it taking any ER bets. But we have like TSSI tonight, DraftKings tonight, Bros, BROS tonight as well. We got Lyft tonight, which I do have a position in, and we'll see. I was planning on riding that into the ER. We'll see. Joby tonight, which we talk about. Root tonight, which is a big retirement account position for me. CXW tonight, which has been performing much better than Geo for some reason in terms of fundamentals and getting contracts. And then Redwire tonight, RDW tomorrow morning, NBIS, Cypher, as he said, Celsius tomorrow morning, Peloton, Lunar, a whole bunch of them. So lots of exciting companies reporting tonight and tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'm going to try to do a live stream 2 o'clock, 2:30, something like that, and see if it's worth it to try any ER bets on any of these. But let me also bring up Reddit. Look at this. Reddit, I called this out on it must have been Friday morning or Thursday afternoon even. It was Thursday afternoon. I called this out as an inflection catalyst. I listened to the conference call, just incredible blowout earnings on the top and bottom line, just like all kinds of acceleration in terms of how they monetize this and how the AI companies are buying their data and everything. Last quarter, even though they had great earnings, there was a concern that they were losing traffic from Google search. They said that concern is no longer an issue. So I've had this as a swing play since Thursday. I even added some to my retirement account, suggesting we can see $230. So look, in the right places, Godfather, not only getting the pops, but you're retaining the gains and even accelerating higher. So if you're super selective, you can still find those winners. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that this is a very good illustration of what you talked about. Reacting, not predicting.
Yes, true. And then ONDS, I put this in my morning note with a $3.40 target today. Oh, look at that. Woody, look at this. I mean, the catalyst flow on ONDS has been nonstop amazing over the last couple of months. We got another one yesterday at that drone event yesterday at the White House, wherever that was held, Pentagon.
Yes, the U.S. Transportation Secretary.
Right, there was a drone sitting on there. That drone was an ONDS drone with their logo of that brand of drone. There it is. Who put that up? Beautiful. How did that get there? All right. Was that Ryan?
Bro, I
Hey.
got your back. I got
Yeah,
your back. Look,
there
I got
you
more.
go.
Look, hey, let's amend that. 2 of the 3
Oh,
drones
2 of the
shown
3.
were
I
owned by
already got
AMD.
that one. Is also on DS.
Go.
Holy crap! If I knew it was 2 out of 3, I would have bought more. So here's another one.
I do what I can, folks. I'll see you in a
I
minute.
gave a $3.40 target on this one. Wait, don't tell me I sold it. Please tell me I'm looking in the wrong account. I'm looking in my retirement account. I got to look in my trading account here. ONDS. Yes, I have it, but my size is small. Oh, okay. I had big size yesterday, but the market kind of spooked me out. All right. In any case, look at this. So there's alpha everywhere that we're generating. Tableau, I've been surprised at this price action. I've been wrong so far. I bought it in pre-market at $3.50 average. Maybe even bought some in the regular hours. But I mean, you might want to check out the buybacks this company doing. It's insane. All right, the analysts are like, "Oh, you're only growing by single digits. What's going on? Why are you growing by double digits?" They bought back 12% of the company in the last 2 years, and a lot of that was just notified today, just revealed for the first time today on the earnings call how many shares. I mean, a tremendous amount of shares, and they increased their share buyback by another $200 million with a $1 billion market cap. The analysts are like, "Why are you buying your shares back?" They're like, "Because we can. We have cash flow, and we think it's really cheap, and we're going to continue buying stock back to much higher levels." I've never seen a buyback this aggressive, I don't think, ever in my life, and I just had to buy that. But so far, it's not working. You might want to take a look at that news. Might be interesting to some of you. But yeah, this is like one of my only failed ideas of the morning so far, TBLA. All right, Ryan.
It looks like you guys had another good one. Another good one here today.
Do you see these late headlines? It looks like Lisa Su making the media rounds, touting the fact that the China licenses are moving through the approval process, and then highlighting.
That's the big catalyst they need. Yeah, they need that
from Oracle, OpenAI, and Meta, and others of their clusters. Yeah. So nice bounce. Off that 158 level. Let's see if we can hold it.
All right, awesome.
All right, Ben, Godfather, really good stuff yet again. You guys keep killing it. Look forward to next Wednesday. All right,
take care.
Cheers.
Take care. That is Ben and the Godfather. We'll get Rhett back in here. Rhett's killing it too. Don't mean to put him down or anything like that. We'll get Rhett back in here. Really good stuff here again, folks. It's time for Futures Fever. I'm going to send you over to Kevin right now. We'll be back at this again tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe.